Yeah. I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address, and now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. They're fighting in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah.
You have your doors locked?
It's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
Hey guys. Okay, so obviously this was an unplanned live, but whatever. I thought, you know what? Instead of making another video on what I was going to say, I'll just do a live instead. That way I can interact with you guys as well as go over things, because we all know that the Nicola Bulley case is so compacted with a bunch of inconsistencies. It's actually not even funny, to be honest with you. So, of course, let's just say a couple hellos. Hi, Pincho. How are you? And then, of course, Streamlabs is in the house. And again, you guys just, of course, be respectful with your comments and to other people's comments, because it doesn't matter. Everyone has the right to their opinions, okay? So, hi, Angel. How are you? And Stephen Smith. And I know there's more people in the house, so hey to you people that aren't talking yet. Mona, hello from the UK. Good to see you. I've said it before that I truly believe that this will remain a mystery, and a mystery it is. So many different things have been said. Yeah, I guess, hopefully when we get to maybe hear some answers about the inquest, that, we would like to think that it would clear up some things, but I'm not holding my breath either, Mona, on this one. But, it's one of those things, unless you literally physically have people that are in the knowing and in the now telling you exactly what happened, then it makes it a little bit hard. Now, so Grizzly True Crime, of course, and a shout out to Grizzly True Crime, and because this is her picture as well. I'm going to use a couple of her pictures actually, but she has multiple times says that family, friends, and whatever, and family have contacted her, and which obviously gave her a little bit more insight to certain things. And that video that was given by Paul to Grizzly True Crime of of course when her and Paul and whatever are at the vehicle and putting Willow into the, we can start off right there, to be honest with you, because even that one, Paul says that he puts that particular day, he got the kids and whatever ready, and that normally it's chaos in the morning, or the word he used was actually carnage in the morning, but that particular day there wasn't. And he gets the kids, puts them in the car, and Willow, but we all know that Willow was in Nicola's hand, and she's the one that put him into the back of the boot there, that you guys use that term instead of trunk boot. But anyways, so again, just throughout this whole Nicola Bulley case, and that for me is like I said for you guys as well, probably it's just the huge inconsistencies. when you start looking over all the news media that has been said and what the police have said, and I've shown this in videos that you can go back and look on, just the constant inconsistencies, it starts from beginning to end pretty much. And it doesn't matter what you look at, pretty much everything is inconsistent, is what is being said. But Grizzly True Crime, I remember had this on her one of her videos. And I know it's probably a little bit hard to see because it's a little bit blurry. Hard to separate it. You know what? It is hard to separate the fact from the fiction. Because even, like I said, when you're trying just to use your common sense and things that make sense, it still is mind-boggling. I like to think that, I try to always think, in common sense and outside of the box, but still thinking of the realm of reality, without going too far off of the spectrum of what could have happened. But like I said, when you have news media and the police, the words that are coming out of their mouths, okay? Now, I have never, for anything to do with Nicola, I've never taken what any other creator has said, okay? Everything that I use myself, besides Kate, I got Grizzly True Crime thing in front of me, and there are some things here that make sense. But I've never gone sitting there watching all these other creators and go, oh, let me look at that. I really do like to dig for things myself. But then if I come across the odd thing that makes sense, but I just typically don't watch other creators too much in general, just because I like to start from ground zero myself and then, look at the information. So I'll say 95% of the information I ever talk about is because it was either in a news article or it was from out of the Lancashire, why am I saying Lancaster? Lancashire police mouth. And, but this, because I know that it's been said again, like that a guy, 910 or whatever that they were looking for, and was like the last person to see her. A 910, this guy with the white, fluffy white dog. And then here, of course, you have on Gizla's like two females, and then you have the fluffy white dog. And I've gone over and over this timeline. Yeah. Well, it's just things like this, for instance. Okay. So, I mean, here, let me just take myself, I guess, off screen. Anyways, thank you guys for coming. There's 51 people in here. If you guys don't mind, of course, giving, this video, the live, a like and a share. Also, you guys, don't forget, you can always follow me on Twitter, Facebook, but Twitter is the next thing I usually post to. I'm always usually posting to Twitter. And that you can find in the link of the description of this video. Regardless, it's in everyone up there. So if you do wish to follow, feel free. If not, feel free. It doesn't matter. It's all good. But either or, let me just bring this one a little bit bigger. Take this off the screen. And so right here, Grizzly True Crime has person 1, female dog walker, sees Nicola at 8:47 Lower Field. Okay, then we have person 2, female dog walker, sees Nicola Bulley at 9:10. I personally don't know where this second one came into effect. I know I heard something about the female walker at 9:10, was a female, that the witness was a female. I don't even know where that even came into play at any point, to be honest. Obviously, sometime after the fact of the original. But then it says right here, person 3, elderly man with white fluffy dog, sees caravan park lady tying willow up. Says about 3 people in the field that day. So again, this, okay, doesn't mean that this is fact right here. It's just another thing that's out there. Because here it's, I think that's supposed to be Penny here, daughter-in-law. This would be Penny's. So I made a correction to that because obviously Penny was married to Nigel Fletcher, and the sister that's married to the brother-in-law of Penny would be a sister-in-law, which would be Patricia M. Fletcher. So that would obviously mean that that's Nigel's sister, not because Penny has a different last name. And then I showed you guys in the last video or whatever, the video before, that it was like Hartwell. And then this is the brother-in-law, say Ron. So this throws me off here because first of all, just question out there. How many of you guys think that Jess, I'll get back to that in a second here. How many of you guys believe that the 910 witness was a female? So if it was a female, put 1. If it was a male, you think put 2. For the second witness at 910. So 1 for female, 2 for male. I'm just curious where your guys' thoughts are on that 910 witness. Okay, Angel says female. Just going to wait for you a couple to respond before I continue. Well, probably right there, Jess, either 1 or 2. We can't really know unless, you personally knew the answers from anyone that was involved within the family or close friends that could have said, because, people are, that they would have had knowledge there at some point, who their witness was. And, because obviously it's a small community, who knows. But so this witness here, this man here, his name is said to have been, I'm just going to say it now. It doesn't matter, actually. It's already out there. Keith Barlow, okay? So Keith Barlow is the guy with the fluffy white dog. And it's his wife, Hillary, that spoke for her husband. And, I mean, this is when they were looking for this person. But why wouldn't this witness have come forward right away? Like, why, days later? So, Katrina, obviously it's the way you type something. It knows, Streamlabs knows it obviously doesn't know, but it thinks you're trying to post a link by how you said something. So it was just your punctuation, which made it seem like it was a link, even though it wasn't. Hi from the UK. Sorry, I still feel that NB went in that water at the time she did. Penny would have to have heard a scream of the water splashing. If Nicola Bulley was trying to get out, she was there soon after. Again, Katrina, I mean, absolutely right when you look at everything around it, right? Because, again, anyone that owns a dog, you would think, right, that typically when a dog's in distress because their owner, let's just say, had fallen and slipped in the water there, that the dog would be barking, right? You know how a dog is. They see you, they try to come after you in a sense. And obviously this dog didn't jump in the water because it was bone dry. But typically a dog would be sitting there trying to sit there and, like, being in distress would be barking, and barks are like echoes, right? It's like an echo chamber. It's like you hear it and you could hear that dog barking, a while away. There's so many different things. Honestly, this is just a brain shaker, this whole thing. And that's what bugs me. And that's what keeps me wanting to keep looking at it, talking about it, trying to make sense of it all, knowing that there's an inquest, right? I mean, we all got brains. We know that there's an inquest coming. So for all those people that say, just leave it alone, stop talking about it, how about you mind your own business and let creators and people talk about it if they want to? How about that? So for all those ones out there that keep saying that, for me personally, it's intriguing. I like talking about it. I like trying to figure it out still because it's an intriguing case, but a very sad case at the end of the day, So, yeah, I didn't know I had no, you didn't post a link. It just was saying that. So let me go to just trying to see right before I was coming in, this stupid thing. It actually, I went to go add the comments I was looking at, and then it deleted it, or deleted my comments. So I had to literally go into my recycle bin. So I'm trying to find which one I had, but I'm thinking that it's not in here now because these ones have dates. Because I want to go back to that. Yeah, okay. Let me give me a second here because obviously the comment that I wanted isn't here. Just trying to find. It was one of the last. Let me just try loading these again and see if it brings. No, stop thing. Let me just see if I do this and it brings it in again. Image. Yeah. Okay, this is the one I want here. So give me a second. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Sorry, you guys, if you're listening to this. It's just because it's telling me it already has these ones in it. So let me go to that one that I just saw come in, which would have to be right. No. Come on. Grab yourself a brain, Sonny. This one right here. Okay. So make sure that you guys can all see this. Let me take this down. Wasn't the second witness the lady in the red coat that went on to say she didn't? As far as we know, no. That part again confused me, because if the lady in the red jacket, they'd already spoken to her, and that's why I said, like, how does the Lancashire police forget talking to a lady in a bright ass red jacket? And then the picture goes out by Rupert Fletcher from the camera of the house on Allotment Lane that they own, that Rebecca and Rupert own together, co-own. So then they put out that picture of the lady in red looking for her. And then she's like, well, why are they looking for me? I've already spoken to them on the day. Hi, Sharon. And then it's like, so why are they looking for me? I already said that, I didn't see her that day. So again, that's kind of confusing itself, because obviously Anne-Marie Fletcher knows exactly who, Christine Bowman is, which is the lady in red, because they are Facebook friends. And people are trying to associate them as relatives, but yet I've never seen anything like that. A lot of people thought Michael Bowman was the brother-in-law, because he does look a lot like Ron Slater. But when you look at it up closely and then look at the glasses and the pictures we're taking, like Michael Bowman's picture was taken in a relatively short period of time prior, for the posting that had, like, why would you have different type of glasses on typically? I mean, I've worked in optical, so I understand that, but it simply wasn't him. Christine Bowman was married to Robert Bowman, and Michael Bowman was married to Caroline Thurhill, or whatever her name was. Okay, but so let's go to this comment right here. Okay, guys. So let me just go in the back here. Okay, so this is on, I think it's called Chris Substock's blog. And he says, fake witness sighting Upper Fields. He said, I explained why the first falsified timeline has been reinvented a week into the investigation, but hadn't mentioned the phony eyewitness statement was claimed to be of two people who laughed and joked. With Nicola, the police fell for it understandably. What better way than to have two phony witnesses throw the police off track? I explained the backstory as to how the reported Keith, white fluffy dog, Barlow's last sighting was dreamed up and never happened. I hadn't spotted, and evidently neither have they, that the Mirror reported on the initial police contact with Keith on January 31st after the appeal of him saying he'd not seen Nicola. This means Hillary Barlow, the individual caught out lying, and the DSI Rebecca Smith, the SIO, had more than a few unanswered questions here. Okay. So basically it's been said that the white fluffy dog was the 9/10 witness. Okay. That's what most of us, I think, remember. Where the female came in at any certain point, I actually don't know. All I remember was at 9:10, it was a fluffy white dog guy that was like the last witness, but saying that his wife spoke for him and he didn't actually speak. And this is where it goes back to, what's her name? Isla, that reporter lady who seemed to have put out something, then take down the video, then put out a tweet, then take that video down, and then say that he was on the towpath or whatever, and another witness after saw and stuff like that. So basically, Hillary spoke for her husband, and I don't know, you guys probably should go read the whole Chris Substack thing and exactly see what he's talking about. But why would it take someone till January 31st? Like, this obviously, it's a small town. You literally would have heard of this. So obviously he must have not have felt like he had any information. But whether his wife was trying to interject herself in to make it seem, or maybe it was just misconstrued, because in her interview, or her words, which you don't really find anymore, but I think Chris Substack still has those words in his, well, I know he does, in his blog, but the blog is really lengthy, so I'm just going to suggest you can go read that for yourself. Did anyone ever find the lead? Well, we'll get into that too, Angela, in just a sec. Now, what did Jess says, where did the quote about the 3-person come from? Well, from what I'm gathering, Jess, and don't quote me on this, but it seems to have come from this wife named Hillary Barlow, was at least one of the people that said, including her husband, that there was 3 people on the field that day. So I'm taking that to be, and this is if we just believe that it's Keith Barlow, okay? Not saying that it is for sure, but if according to Hillary Barlow, that her husband, including, himself, there was 3 people on the field, that would to me mean himself, Nicola Bulley, and then the other witness number, say 1. And so that's why it confuses me when you have this that doesn't make sense. Whoops, sorry. Let me go back to that picture again. Sorry, I got too many programs open. So that doesn't make sense to me. It says, person 3, elderly man with white fluffy dog, sees caravan park lady tying Willow up, says about 3 people in the field that day. So again, the wife Hillary spoke for him. And then he, I guess, came out saying that he didn't see anything. So that's why Chris Substack is saying, well, then that means Hillary's lying. His own wife is like not saying it, whatever, unless it was misconstrued like everything else. So this doesn't make sense to me, because obviously if this white fluffy dog sees Willow being tied up, and yet again, going back to Ron's conversation, tie up the dog, and and then it's all I can say is this: wherever you go, whatever news media clipping, whatever the police are saying, it just none of it is consistent. Like, just simply none of it, right? It doesn't matter if Rebecca and Sally couldn't get their timelines right with the witnesses. 8:40 it was said that she was talking with somebody at school. 8:40 on the towpath. 8:40, 8:43 it was a witness, and it was a witness at 8:47. And then not only that, but then they're asking for a timeline from 9:10 to 9:20. What's the 10 minutes we need to know? Well, what about the rest of the time? So that must mean you already know then what happened to Nicola Bulley, because you obviously aren't asking for the time between 9:20 to 9:33. Sorry, I'm just going to look at some comments here. Wasn't it the towpath and we talking to 2 people? Right. There's an article that says that. And and this is the same article, Angel, that's saying that the phone was unlocked, or was it locked? Can't remember now. There's too many. But that's the one where it says that 2 people, that laughing and joking or whatever. But that article with those two people goes against everything else that was said about, Nicola Bulley. So, and you can't help it as a regular human being, correct? As any human being, certain things are going to stick in your brain that are being said to you, and then you're going to have that in your head as you're looking at the whole case. And those certain things aren't going to leave your head because those are things that you remember. But if you truly go through all the articles, it's just really a mind F, to be honest. And if you listen to the police, again, it's still a mind F. It doesn't matter what you do with this case. You're not going to find any consistency whatsoever. And I'll show you a few more things. I showed you guys in 2 other videos, just the constant inconsistencies. So what do you believe after a while? You only try to sit there and use your own brain cells and try to go, hey, well, let me make sense of this, which is what I tried to do in that timeline video, which is try to make sense of how is this possible. Ron saying, hey, I came to the, saw the phone, got to the Red Brick Building, thought, hey, something just ain't right, So that was the whole thing. Did Ron see it? Did Penny see it first? Was the phone on the ground? Or was the phone off the ground? Because we've seen multiple times it being said in different places, the opposite, conflicting with each other. Then you have Sally and Rebecca, or Sally has consistently said that the phone was on the bench at 9:20. Rebecca Smith comes along and says the phone was moving towards the bench. So moving towards is not on. But yet that's coming out of the, police mouths. So, okay, so if it's moving towards the bench at 9:20, then wouldn't that maybe mean 9:21 or 9:22 it landed on the bench? Because you said it was moving toward the bench. But according to Sally Riley, it was on the bench in both press conferences when she said that. Sorry, guys, they should have checked Bray Brook opposite the top field. Then the timeline fits and explains why she wasn't found until the next heavy rains. Oops, somebody's just subscribing, I think. Thank you, subscriber. Hi, Sailorman. Thanks. Hey, Denise, how are you? Wasn't that in a Times article? Yeah, you know what? I mean, between the UK, the Daily Mail, the Independent, the whatever it is, UK Express or whatever. Honestly, it's just a ton of them. All witnesses removed by police. Other than 9:10, Emma waves to Nicola. Emma says in an interview, no mention where this was. Police altered timeline, saying the children got to school at 8:40. Well, I mean, that's the timeline that's out there is 8:40, but you see it in another place, 8:45. Again, we can only take what's given to us. Unless we're literally talking to Emma White, Paul, a family member of themselves, we can only really take what's given to us because most people do not live in, of course, St. Michael's on the Wire or in that vicinity of it. I haven't heard of someone seeing the dog tied up. Well, I have heard of it, but the thing is that, it doesn't seem to make sense to me. It could have happened. Maybe it didn't happen. Because Penny's saying to Ron, to Ron's, her sister-in-law, don't forget to top that up. But we'll get into that video in a second and dissect that one a little bit better again. Penny said she was walking her two dogs, so went home to phone someone to come tie up Willow. Where I've never seen that said myself, Angel. Again, depends what article you read, to be honest with you. So, in no press conference was that said. So I've never seen Penny said she was walking her 2 dogs, so went home to phone someone to come tie up Willow. Never seen that. So it's one of those things. If it's in an article, again, well, trust me, the articles all say different things for for so many things. So unless you have something, like, anyone can feel free to send it to me at acrimingshame@gmail.com. If there's something that they feel that leads to a little bit of insight. 8:43 and 8:47 are very precious times, so they must have a reason for these. I really find it hard to believe that Nicola Bulley got there at 8:40. At 8:47, she was seen in that lower field, knowing that cross. Once you even cross the Iron Bridge, and just like even John from Crime Scene to Courtroom said, like that's a long, like that part of it's a long walk. John saying like, look, Sonny, when you got to the field, it's actually quite small. That Google Earth that is deceiving. And I'm like, I know, I could tell that by the Sky News interview, because they obviously lost track of time. And next thing you know, they were close to that red brick building at like frigging, I think it was like 8:57 or something like that. So I always find it in my head hard to, think that Nicola Bulley at 8:40 got out of her vehicle, had to still get her dog, give her kids kisses, and then raced down the path with a dog that usually likes to sniff and pee and do whatever, and then got there for 8:47. That's a pretty crunch timeline, considering even when Sky News was doing it without a dog, they arrived at the kissing gate at 8:47. So that's when and that was walking briskly, no dog in their hand, just them walking at a brisk pace. I don't know. Could be true. Just seems like a very brisk pace. So next thing you know, so it's almost like, like warp speed that Nicola Bulley had to be walking. Pinchot. Ron got the cow from his wife. What? Ron got the call from his wife at 9:33. Now, again, this is just a matter of interpretation, because where did it say at 9:33 that he got the phone call from his wife? It certainly wasn't in the interview. Virgo. Are you all sending all the materials to Alliance Police? Is this for help holding them to account? Rob, I'm sure multiple people have. I personally haven't, because they didn't seem to give a crap about they didn't seem to give a crap about anybody else's thoughts, only their own, to be honest, or from the family members. Okay, sorry, it's so strange. I'm just going to scroll down a little. It's so strange that they're reenactment. Hold on. Let's just stop screen for a sec, guys, and I'll go back to some of those comments that we're going to go through, but let's go over to the video. Okay, let's just go over to this, because a lot of people are saying certain things, and I'm like, where are you getting that from? Because it's not from this video. Okay, so hold on. Let me just come back over here. I got to take down this message so we can see it properly. And then we're just going to dissect it. So if you guys see me stop it, it's because we're going to talk about it for a second. I know this thing has been dissected so many times. I don't care. It's a very important, to me, part of it, because, again, it's not like, everyone has to believe exactly what Ron is saying. But bottom line is, it's one of the few things that we have to listen to try to understand, perhaps what went on that day a little bit.
How are you?
No, not at all.
Good to see you.
You live here?
Well, it has been like that. So you saw the phone.
Okay, so I just want to say this. So first of all, he says, do you live here? And in the conversation, you can obviously tell that these two have spoken already, and hence why he's saying, do you live here? Because he's obviously seen this news crew and talked to him. And you can tell that he's already talked to him in the video of how that, whatever that guy's name is in the blue jacket, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, whatever his name is, has already talked to them, or talked to Ron.
Is that right? Yeah. You saw the phone that Friday morning?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was around, was it after 9:30?
Okay, so we'll stop right there. So he's putting words into his mouth, first of all, but he's probably going back to the conversation that he had with Ron probably a day or so earlier, where he says, so you saw the phone at about 9:30, which is obviously 9:30, right?
I gave a full statement to the police with the exact time because my wife's telephone call had at the time on it. So,
Yeah.
but I've given a full statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it just on the bench, or
Pardon?
was it just on the bench?
The phone?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness.
How's the last 3 weeks been?
Each day something new comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
And in terms of, you know, when you saw Phone, Lead, and Willow, who you knew who Nicola was.
no, I didn't.
Oh, you knew the Willow. That was it, wasn't it? You knew what you knew Willow.
I knew I'd seen both the owners of Willow walking this dog in the past. But whilst I knew them by face, like I know your face, I didn't know the name.
Yeah, yeah. But I remember you actually telling me.
All right, so let's stop there. So where is his microphone? Well, I mean, there's obviously the cameraman. You know, they have those big sticks that they're holding up that they're not obviously going to really show too much in the clip here. But this is where, again, people kind of, you know, say different things about, well, that Ron must have been coming from the upper field, for instance, and got to the red brick building. And how does that even make sense, though? Because Ron's saying, you know, he's asking him, yeah, I saw the phone, you know, the harness and the dog. Well, again, this is what we were talking about in my last video. You know, when you think about it, hi, Miss Dog Lover. I know that made me laugh whenever I see that part when the dog's taking a dump. Kind of like this whole freaking timeline, right? And well, the thing is that, again, you know, they're obviously going, oh, hey, the dog walk. Like, you know, I think this is more of like, oh, hey, here comes that dog walker again. You know, like, let's get him on and, you know, kind of like ask him some more of those questions, even though I think that there definitely could have been some questions, at least for me. I mean, maybe this is just hindsight, but there's questions in there that I definitely would have been saying to Ron other than just what was said in this interview. But anyways, you can tell that whatever his name is, the guy in the blue jacket, I'm sorry, you guys, I just don't remember his name at this moment. So he's obviously, you know, has talked to Ron, but he's kind of like pushing the words on him more so than, say, Ron is saying himself. But again, he's saying that he, you know, came across the phone, came across the whatever. If we go by what, you know, this guy in the blue, what's his name, you guys? Tell me what his name is. It's bugging me. I usually like to use people's name. But again, some people are twisting it around that he's coming from the upper field. So he's probably the second witness, which I at one point thought he was. I thought, well, maybe this is the 70-year-old guy that they're looking for. And maybe they got the color of the dog wrong because they got everything else wrong, you know? And I always thought that Penny Fletcher was the first witness, myself, until, again, you hear different things which go, well, Penny was the first witness, but they said that the person that interacted with Penny and the dog left the field. Well, that would kind of go opposite of what about the fact of Penny coming across the phone and da-da-da. But at the end of the day, like, so this dog had a dog collar on it, you know, unless, of course, we're wrong all about that too, you know, because the dog collar's name, and like I put in the last video, it says it's mandatory that you have, you know, the address and the owner's name. So on the front is probably, you know, I mean, you can see on Willow's tag, whether it's turned backwards or forward, that there is a bunch of lettering on there. So, you know, it doesn't matter where else you live in the UK. It says it's mandatory to have, you know, the owner's name and the address on there. You don't have to put the phone number on there. So I'm going to assume, we could assume, I guess, that probably that number is on there if what Gisela had said was that Penny was trying to remember the phone number. And I'm like, well, hey, but still, it would still have a name on it, you know? So then everyone can sit there and say, well, hold on, you know, you have to have a dog. The law in the UK, yeah, you have to have a dog tag. Exactly. That was in the last video. And yeah, so I'm sure that most people like myself, even, you know, in Alberta, you know, you had to put certain information on that dog tag, you know, because you had to, of course, have your license on your dog, even on your cats, to be honest with you. So then it becomes, well, okay, well, hold on. If the name has to be on there, keeping in mind that, you know, how would you tie Willow up at all if there was no collar at least on the dog? So, like I said, so you have to look at all those things that are being said. So if some old 70-year-old guy with the white fluffy dog sees Penny tying up this dog, you know, then obviously you're not going to tie the twine around the dog's neck. You know, you're not going to tie it around the leg. So that doesn't make sense, right? I don't even believe that this old guy, I don't even know, actually. You know, I would like to think that the dog collar was on the dog, of course, and that if Penny was trying to remember a phone number, it's because there was a dog collar on there, but this dog collar would still have a name, right? And even if, you know, Ron said, well, you know, just like I remember your face, you know, I didn't know their name or whatever. Well, great, but the dog tag color would have said the name of the person, you know. And I'm pretty sure if you even think of what Paul says, that everybody knows everybody. Even if you don't know their name, everyone knows everyone, you know. And it just all seems strange, doesn't it? I always thought the rope around the dog was strange. I don't know. I never saw it. Well, this is true. Peace. You know, you'll be surprised how many people tie their dogs up. You know, I'm always amazed when people leave their dogs, you know, tied up outside while they go shopping as well. I know it happens all the time, but a lot of dogs are stolen that way as well because people sell them, you know, for money. Like, seriously, it's crazy. You know, I don't think I would ever feel comfortable anymore leaving a dog tied up outside while I decide to go shopping and stuff like that, because people are thieves. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, they'll get into an open car with a child in it and steal that and have no qualms about doing it, you know. But anyway, let's just continue back on with this.
When you saw the phone, the lead and Willow, you were like, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it because something doesn't feel right.
I thought somebody had gone to the toilet in the you know, that would have been, that was my first. I got to about this red brick building here, and I thought this is not right. And then there was.
Okay, so before we get into the telephone thing, right? So remember, this didn't happen on the day Nicola Bulley went missing. You know, this interview. So just because somebody's pointing to the caravan from where they are now doesn't mean that Ron was literally in the upper field, because obviously he would get to the red brick building after realizing that he saw this phone on harness on the bench. And this is where I think this is why I believe it's separate from Penny. And that's hence why two people can kind of claim like, yeah, I saw this. But obviously once Ron talked to Penny, and then Penny would have discussed with him about the fact of, yeah, her coming across it. I mean, they're family, right? Yeah, Penny's sister-in-law, Ron, that's freaking her brother-in-law, and all that stuff. So, I mean, obviously they would have talked, like Penny would have told Ron, like, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Ron's wife actually would have been telling him, yeah, Penny's come across this dog, hence why his wife's trying to call him and blah, blah, blah. But does anyone even believe that Ron was in the upper field? Because it's amazing sometimes, I think, what people are thinking off of a same video, but yet they're hearing something totally different to me. Because obviously, to me, what he's saying is, you know, I saw this. I thought somebody was over there peeing in the freaking caravan. I don't know why someone would walk that far to go over to the bathroom. I don't know if it was just a thought off the top of his head, you know, that was there, let alone to think that someone's going to walk there, leave the dog and phone, well, I'm going to go take a pee. Like, that doesn't make sense. But he's probably just speaking off the top of his head as he's saying that. And then anyways, he gets to the red brick building, and then he's like, oh, a light bulb went off. Something's wrong here. Something's just not right, you know. And then to me, that's why he went back to look at the phone. Now, keep in mind that whatever his name is it Enon or whatever it is, has said that, so it was about 1:30, right? You know, and just because the reporter is saying, well, you know, he comes about this time every day, doesn't mean he was there at exactly 9:15, because he's literally saying here that, so it was about 1:30, right? But Ron didn't answer him. He literally just said, oh, I gave all my stuff to the police, but my wife has the time on her phone. But he never actually said what time, he actually got there at. Besides the fact in the timeline, it says 9:33 that Penny, that a witness or whatever, came across the phone on there. So, right. That's what I'm trying to say, Denise, and all of this stuff, right? 9:33 was the recorded time calls in the police meeting before the Sky video. But where did that come, Pincho? Where are you hearing that? 9:33 was the recorded time of Ron's call in the police meeting before the Sky video. But where does it say that? Like, if it's coming from a news media, well, I'm not even going to believe them either. So he's not saying it here. So 9:33, the only thing I've ever seen about 9:33 is that was the timeline of the witness. So where is this phone call that he was in a phone call at that time? That's what, to me, it all becomes about facts. Like, you're trying to take the best facts that you can from all this misinformation that's been said from media and from the Lancashire police. Yeah. Ron did not commit to the time. No, he didn't commit to the time. Hi, Claire. Yeah, I mean, in this video, he didn't commit to the time, and it is in a video. The Sky video happened much later. Well, if you do have that information, then if you could email it to me, because I've never heard of it. I don't know that anybody else has. Anybody else? Well, again, Sky News has put out a lot of misinformation already. So it wouldn't shock me if, that's misinformation at the time as well. So, and that's the whole point of it, is that it's just misinformation. I've never personally come across that. But if you have, Pincho, then again, and it's in an article that you know of, without just saying, well, it's in a video somewhere, because I've looked at tons of of these articles and listened to tons of videos. But again, there's so much misinformation out there. Maybe they did put that in an article somewhere. It was just a roundup of what happened so far. It's not accurate as most of the other videos. Yeah. So, I mean, okay, let's just go back to the video here again.
Conversation, but my wife was trying to ring me. I was trying to ring her. Penny had rung my wife.
Yeah.
To say that she'd fastened the dog up that was.
Okay. So right there, okay. My wife was trying to call me, or I was trying to call her. My wife was trying to call me. Penny had called my wife and said that you should. And then, how he kind of slurs over his words. Let me just play that again, because there's some people going that Penny had said that she had tied the dog up, according to this video, but he didn't say that.
You should fasten the dog up.
You should fasten the dog up.
And Penny was the lady.
Okay, because it was, and then he mumbles off. Okay, you should tie the dog up. So where are people saying that Penny did tie the dog up? Penny's telling Ron, according to Ron, that you should tie the dog up because it's and then he mumbles off. And I'm going to take that with, with trying to read between the lines there, because it's running loose. Because it's and then he stops. And then you should tie the dog up. So that would mean to me, that Penny did not tie the dog up. It's no different than people believing that Penny was the first one to call the police. I mean, who knows? Again, you just have to take the articles and go, well, okay. But at no point did Rebecca say we received a call from a witness, or somebody that found the phone first, and then, Paul had contacted us. That was never said. It was simply said in articles about Penny. But you have to remember that these articles are all part and parcel, and they just simply take information from the other newspapers, the news media, and run that information themselves, as you guys can tell by, you know, according to the Mirror, you know, Angel. He comes from the Iron Bridge walking towards the top field. So he got to the red brick building and knew something was wrong. But he didn't see NB yet walking away from where she was, the bench. Yeah. William. Hi, William. So either Penny found the phone and dog earlier than 9:30, or Ron found it much later or after. So Ron was very late on his walk on the 27th. Well, right. I mean, I think, like I said, I mean, in the video that I did, I believe, and this is my own belief, okay, guys? Doesn't mean you guys have to believe it or not. You guys can, whatever. All I'm trying to do is make sense of it, and I'll make sense of it and put it out there. And then some people will go like, okay, yeah, I see what it means. Or other people will go, no, Sonny, you're way off. This, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just, you know, I'm just trying to make sense of all the, you know, diarrhea that's out there for the Nicola Bulley case. I'm just trying to sit there and go, how can this make sense that Penny came across the phone and then Ron is talking singularly? He's not talking, we got to the red brick building. He's saying, I got to the red brick building, you know, so, you know, obviously Penny and Ron are relatives, right? Ron typically goes for a walk to the field. Doesn't mean he's set that every day he's going to be there at 9:15 or 9:20. You know, there's always some off days. Depends on how the day is going. I don't think the newspaper articles, I get everything from police statements. I like to look at both myself because, you know, obviously the reporters are talking to people that are around the area, which we know. And Sky News has said multiple times that they've talked with a family, and, you know, but even sometimes, again, their information isn't necessarily accurate, or maybe it's accurate and, you know, and because we're hearing something different, we think it's inaccurate. I think Penny did tie up the dog with a string. I mean, wouldn't she have? Okay, but why though, Claire? My thing to me is this: who's taking their dog for a walk and goes, "Whoop, let me just make sure I got a piece of twine with me on my walk"? It doesn't make sense. Why will like it doesn't make sense that someone's going to go, "Oh yeah, I'll make sure I got a piece of twine in my pocket," unless it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense because why would she tell Ron the dog's on the loose to tie up the dog? It doesn't make sense. Like, how can that make sense? You can't just imagine that she had a piece of twine in her pocket. But then again, you don't really freaking know what to believe anyway. You know? The police statements say that Penny tied up the dog with the string many times. Yeah. Again, tell me which video that's in. Pincho for that one. I mean, I know you guys have too, listened to it. And so, hello, honey.
Hey.
What you doing?
I go to the shop for an hour.
Okay. Anyway, give me a second, guys. I'm just going to talk to my husband for 1 sec. Okay, so coming back. Okay, but Penny said she tied up the dog is on a local news channel. Penny never spoke publicly on a news channel. So, again, it came from an article then, right, Angel? Penny never spoke on camera besides when she was talking to Curtis Media there. So, again, that would come from an article. But then all you have to do is go to the articles and go, what do I even believe? Anyway, let's just finish this video out for a sec.
Lady who actually spotted Willow initially,
right, yes.
and saw the phone but didn't know what was going on with the phone.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, you know, what happened?
Well,
what were the next steps?
It was just a progression of things happening. You know, we found out because of the wallpaper on the phone. We found out who the couple were. Then the school was contacted, and Paul arrived.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll let you carry on with your walk. I know you do this every morning. Yeah. Nicola did this almost every morning as well.
Probably, yeah.
We're retracing those steps this time 3 weeks ago.
So, we'll go back to that. So it's saying that Penny, she tied up the dog. It's on a local news channel, but then you said, 1 second, Angel. Lancashire Post, I think, she spoke to a local reporter. But again, that's not really, I mean, that's coming from the reporter. But again, like I said, I don't know. Did she trap the dog? Did she not? To be honest with you, I don't believe, I personally, she could have. But why would she say to Ron, like, tie up the dog? And you can see he mumbles off because it was run it. And he said, ruh. And then, you know, again, you're just trying to use common sense. Well, let me just finish off that statement because it was run. Why would she? So how can you explain why she would tell Ron to tie up the dog versus that she already tied up the dog? You know? And people can sit there and say, okay, well, the dog was running loose, that she tied it up to the collar and didn't see Nicola Bulley's name or Paul Ansell's name on the dog tag then? You know, but she's trying to remember a phone number. Because even if you didn't remember a phone number, you'd still at least try to remember the name, you would think. And I don't believe the newspaper is clear because there's too many inconsistencies to that. Okay, let me just go to 1 second. Let me go back to the other screen, back to over here. Okay. So let's see, where do I start? Let me just take a look at this one. Okay. I'll just go down to right here. So at 10:15 a.m., the alarm was raised around 1 hour later by a walker who finds her Springer Spaniel Willow running loose. 10:15? Oh, there's a whole new timeline again. So 10:15, who found the dog at 10:15? Because the dog was supposedly found at 9:33, and I'm pretty sure it's not Ron at 10:15 because he's probably, you know, kind of within that 9:15 to 10 o'clock area to get there to the dog walk. So right there, right, that goes out. That's on, I think, May 3rd. No, May 3rd, February 3rd or 2nd or something like that. That post is, right? Here's the timeline that came out from the Lancashire police. Obviously, like later on, let's see, 8:43, Nicola walked along the path, having dropped off her children. Okay, so 8:43, but yet they put 8:40 on their other timeline that they had, like the one I've shown you that was in blue, where the 24-hour timeline. So the minutes count. Minutes count. When you're talking about minutes, all these little minutes in there count for time. So we had 8:40, now 8:43. But 8:43, they placed her on the towpath, remember? And 8:43, they placed a witness seeing her, remember? So at 8:50, a dog walker, somebody who knows Nicola, saw her walking around the lower field. Okay, well, what happened to 8:47? Again, minutes count when you're talking about someone that's gone missing. Their two dogs interacted briefly before the witness left the field via the river path. You know, again, they're the ones that put out the timeline of 8:47, and then that's 3 minutes. Well, if you, every time something's off, those are definitely a bunch of minutes that are getting, you know, looked over. Who knows? 8:53, she sent an email. 9:01, she logged into Teams call. 9:10, a witness, somebody who knows Nicola. So again, it becomes who knows Nicola, or, you know, knows her personally and knows her name, or do they just know her from seeing her on the field, like say Ron was saying? Saw her on the upper field walking her dog Willow. Work is ongoing today to establish exactly what time this was. 9:30, right? The team call is ended, but Nicola stayed logged on. 9:35, Nicola's mobile phone. Okay, well, what about 9:33? So what's with the rounding up to 9:35? And this is by the Lancashire police, this timeline off of their page as well, right? We continue to have specialist resources from both police and emergency searching a significant area of land around the river of Garstang Road. We also have divers in the area and are using underwater drones to search the full length of the river wire downstream. Our police dogs have been out searching. So let me just go to this one. So while Nicola's family live in hope of her, let's see, let me see. Oh, this one's just basically saying, I think, that the couple, meaning Nicola Bulley's parents, that they owned a freight transport company and have split their time between caring for their grandchildren, Nicola's 2 young daughters, which is Harriet and Sophie. Or is it Sophia? Sorry. Just over an hour after Nicola's last confirmed sighting, a member of the public raised the alarm. Okay. There was, hold on, let me see if I can find it, because there's so many inconsistencies. No, I don't need that one in here. That's the blurry version. That's Keith. Okay. So over an hour, we just saw it said not 10:15. Okay. So this one says, hey, anyways, Ernest, 73, and Miss Bulley's extended family have questioned whether she was taken from the riverbank, given there were no signs that she, sorry, let me just make this a little bigger for people. Just for people that are on phones. I'm always on a computer for this stuff. So a question whether she was taken from the riverbank, given there were no signs that she slipped or fallen into the water, and 0 clues as to where she could be. Miss Bulley was making plans for the future with her family prior to disappearing last week. They say the 45-year-old, her young sister, Louise, were speaking the night before she vanished, planning a spa getaway and researching treatments they could get from their mother, Dot. Dot, 72, said the sisters are close, adding that Miss Bulley had also recently bought tickets to watch her beloved girls perform in a choir and an upcoming gymnastics show. The family have vowed to never give up. Okay. So this is, you somehow skipped all of the main videos. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Pincho? I was talking about that Ron video was the whole video. It was like 2 minutes and something long. 10:15 is when the school was contacted due to the photo and the phone, the so-called school police. He called Paul. Lady Dog Lover, no, that was 10:50. Right. Well, I mean, I'll show you something else. You have missed the videos with the information in them. No, I'm not missing whatever. I put out tons of videos with regarding this stuff. The stuff that I'm going over right now, Pincho, is the stuff that I wanted to talk about, which was the inconsistencies, and about the video that I put out the other day with Penny and Ron, and trying to explain why it made sense, and going over some comments that people had said. So I'm not getting into every single video clip in this one between, which I've done in the videos between Rebecca and her conference thing and stuff like that. This live would be like freaking 5 hours long if I did all that. Like the 933 phone call. Well, again, you're the only one I've ever seen, Pincho, talk about the 933 phone call. I've never seen anyone else say that. Like, maybe there has been. I've never seen it. So again, if there is a video that says that, then please send it to me, because I have never seen it. Has anyone else ever seen a 933 phone call at all that's watching right now? Has anyone ever seen Ron say 930 that there was a phone call besides in a media? So I've never seen it. Has anyone else? No. So if there is, you can say it, but then Okay, then back it up with what you have, the information. Because that's the whole point, right, Pincho? We're just trying to make an understanding. No, Canada didn't skip it. Doesn't matter if you're in the US or Canada or the UK. If it's not out there and it's only in a press report, the local press reported that Penny phoned the police at 9:33. And that's the thing, is that, again, there hasn't been proof of that either, besides the media multiple times, right? So when the media is saying all these things, you have to take all that shit into account, which you know, and you have to make sense of it, knowing that no matter what article you go to, because it's articles from this media company saying, as the Mirror said, as the Daily Mail said, and they're just regurgitating the other channels or the other things' information. I got that time from the police statement. Okay, if you have that time from the police statement, then please send it to me. So then at least we can go, yeah, okay, that was said. But it has to be from the police statement and not from a media source saying that, right? Because we already know that the media has misconstrued a ton of crap. Yeah, the guy on that particular one, there was no time. It was just my wife. The guy says to him, "Hey, so you were here? You saw the phone about 9:30, right?" And Ron never said a time, and so people can speculate whatever. And then all he says is, I tried calling my wife. My wife tried calling me. Penny called my wife, but there was no times, at exactly when this happened, because we don't still know when Ron walked into the field. Was it 9:40, 9:45, 9:37? We don't know. But it would only make sense that if Ron came across the phone and saw the dog and thought somebody went pee, and then he walked to the building and thought something's not right. Obviously, him and Penny must have bypassed each other. I already knew the time before the Sky video. Again, Pincho, nobody else is saying that they have seen what you're saying. And if so, it's in an article. And all I'm asking is, if somebody has like substantial proof, right? Because all we're trying to do is put a timeline together, and it takes an army. It doesn't, like one person can try to, like, I can try to do as much as I can myself, but it's always more helpful when people have some accurate information, like Claire and like TNT that provided like names and different things to, or Gizla from Grizzly 2 Crime, and whoever else has sent information to put it together. Then where did that come from? Because I don't know, Pinch. I don't know what to say to that. No 9-3 phone call. Not one person here is agreeing with you or saying that, that that's true. So if you feel it is, then just send it to me. That's it. Send it to me at acrimingshame@gmail.com. Love you, Pincho. But you know what I'm saying, right? I can't just go off you saying that. I mean, I don't like, it's one thing to kind of speculate things, but I mean, I do like to look at what is at least out there, because all we can do, unless we actually know the people themselves, is take news articles, take what the police are saying, right? Take what perhaps Ron, course, is saying, because those are the only things that we can use to create any sort of timeline, because the police aren't going to sit there and give us all that information. They're just not. So obviously, as web sleuths, we're just going to try to use the best information to try to figure out the timeline ourselves. If Ron was that concerned, he's gone past the red brick building, so he obviously walked back to the bench. Why didn't he well, that's just the thing, Steve. He's convinced he thought someone had gone to use toilet. No, he wasn't. He never said he was convinced. He just said he just thought. And that was my thing. Because at that point, like in my video that I had put out about the timeline, is that Ron, I'm sure, would not just leave the dog once he thought that something was off, right? I mean, obviously he's going, this is weird. I've come across a phone and a dog, and, but I thought perhaps somebody went to the toilet. Doesn't mean he, like, that even kind of, I mean, it's probably something that came out of his mouth, but I'm sure, common sense to anybody goes, well, why would you walk over to the toilet and leave your phone? So, and he's an old guy. Give him that. Walks to the red brick building, and goes, "Oh, something's just not right." Well, at some point, and we still don't know this, but at some point, he's talking to his wife. Now, Penny's sister-in-law, and they have already talked, right? That's why you can, at least to me, you can kind of tell, like, he says it in a very hurried pace because you can tell in his brain, he's just like, well, I was trying to call my wife was trying to call me, and Penny had called up to say about tying the dog up and whatever. So I'm sure Ron, myself, I don't feel like he actually left the field after that, because now he's already talked to his wife. The wife has already said that she's been talking to Penny, and Penny would come across the phone and the whatever. So I doubt that he's just going to leave the dog there. I mean, Penny might have, but I don't think that Ron is, because now he's got more information and whatever, and they're trying to figure out whose it belongs to. So, I mean, those are just things that you would think would kind of correlate with each other. Doesn't mean that it did happen exactly that way. 9:33 is the time. 9:33 is time Ron was at the red building. It's his call, I think, proof of time he was in the field. But Ron never said that, Lady Dog Lover. I don't understand where people keep saying this, to be honest. The only thing that's ever been said is that at 9:33 that a dog walker, and which was deemed as Penny, had come across the phone. So you can't have two people seeing the phone separate times and then yet having that same person being there. I used to think that Ron was one of the people that Penny called to go there, because of whatever, and that they kind of were there together. But then, and that's why I could never make sense of Ron's interview until it finally, to me, dawned on me. Well, that's because they weren't there at the same time. Penny, like Ron said, saw the phone first, and that he had saw it himself. So it had to be separate times. That they must have not seen each other, obviously, because it's only a couple minute walk, really, from leaving to going back over to the caravan. Who knows? I'm just going on based on what makes sense, without going way off on a, left field, right field type of idea. But I don't know why everyone keeps twisting this 9:33 around to that Ron was at the red building at 9:33, because it's never been said. Or that the phone call happened at 9:33. Like I said, it just becomes about any proof. Like, if you guys have anything that's like substantial, like proof to show, But the thing is, again, what are we supposed to do? We can't even believe what the police are saying. We can't believe what the newspapers are saying. So do we really have any proof of any of it, really? I mean, honestly, the police from start to finish have muddled up this case. Okay, they might have some answers now, who knows, but they certainly muddled it up to the public, and then they basically accused the public, but yet it was them that confused the public. And you know what happens when people confuse the public? Well, the public's going to be like, wait, that doesn't sound right, because you've already said this, so that doesn't make sense. And then the public is more going to attach itself onto it, because you think that when they're giving statements that they're, not speculating themselves, that they're just simply making sense themselves and giving an accurate timeline. That's what you look to them for, to give. And we all know that things get changed up, like as more information comes in. So, that's a given. But you can't sit there and tell someone that this person went missing. We got nothing to give to you, but this is what happened. And we're giving you this loosey-goosey timeline now. Oh, but let's change it back up. But we expect you to still go with us on this. Well, the public isn't going to just fall into order like that. It's not going to happen. And so, okay, so let's see here. Okay, so the two fishermen were, according, again, whatever we want to believe, the two fishermen were ruled out, that they had talked to them. Rebecca Smith says that in an interview. I think that the possibility of the two fishermen were actually two photographers with a 6-foot tripod, not fishing rods, and that they had returned as they had already made 4 videos. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know, Sailorman. I don't know on that one. I just know that Rebecca said that the 2 fishermen had already been spoken to, that there was nothing sinister about them. But again, right, there's obviously truth in what they're saying somewhere, even if they can't get their shit together. Well, anyway, to me, the phone was logged in our main verified information. You keep saying it, but what do you have to back it up? That's all I'm saying, Pincho. You know, you got to back up stuff. We can't just say it. We got to at least try to back it up. So if you're saying that that's true, that it was all with the police information, then you must have the information to back that up. That's all. Sadly, the police statements make no sense. The vacuums get filled with nonsense that starts going around as gospel. And then that's exactly all sorts. Right. Then people start believing gospel because they've read something, you know, and whatever. And it really just becomes how much somebody looks into it. Because again, somebody might read something from the beginning and it sticks in their head. And then even if that information was updated later, that part still sticks in their head. And again, but for me, I just like to put puzzle pieces together and try to make sense out of it all. And the more you keep reading things, the more you're like, what? Like, this isn't even making sense. Ron says in the Sky interview about the 9:33 call, it was to his wife. In what Sky interview are you referring to? Because it certainly wasn't this one. So is there a different one, Miss Lady Dog Lover? Because it certainly was not in this one. And this is kind of like the main one for well, hold on. This is the only first one that Ron even spoke in. Like where he was on camera and talking, and that's when everyone got informed that Penny was the lady who found the dog. The only thing we can confirm, no, at no point, Lady Dog Lover, did Ron say that about 9:30. The only thing that was even said about that was just that the interviewer said, so about past, you know, you spotted whatever. And then Ron didn't say, no. He said, I don't know. My wife has the time on her phone. I've already given the information over. So I like, it's not in there that he said it at 9:33. That's why it's like when you show it, I don't understand how people are misconstruing information, you know, from that to say 9:33 a phone call was made. It did not once say that in this video that of Ron's from Sky News. Is there what? Oh, Carol, the only thing I'm going to say is that we can confirm that they found Nicola Bulley's body. That we can confirm. You know. I understood that Ron lived at the caravan site. No, you know what? Sometimes it's a little harder to find information on people, and I don't see anything for Ron and his wife, Penny's sister-in-law. Like if they have Facebooks, I certainly have not come across them. I've come across like Penny Fletcher's grandchildren's Facebook, and you know, I know Rupert has one with that Ronnie Barker guy on it, and someone today I haven't looked at the email too much, but someone sent me today a picture of Rupert Fletcher. We know that the Fletchers own the home that the lady in red was in front of. So that's fact, right? Okay. The Fletchers, Rebecca and Rupert own the home where the lady in red was spotted in front of. Okay. That's fact. They own the home. You know, something like that makes sense because they own the home. But as for exactly where Ron lives, you know, I keep trying to look because you guys have your like 192, you know, on there. But sometimes when you're looking up people, it's like even their information necessarily isn't up to date or accurate. So again, I'm from Canada, but I follow typically the U.S. cases. Mostly I have up until the Nicola Bulley case, to be honest with you. And then now there's some other ones that definitely interest me, like the Lucy Letby one and Reese Roger out of Scotland. But in the US, you can pull up somebody's name and I can find out all about you. I can find your relatives. I can find everything pretty much about you, your Facebook accounts, your Instagram accounts. UK is not so open like that. And when I personally never had to ever search for stuff to do with the UK, that's where it's very nice when people can send me information that actually help, because, they're used to maybe searching your guys's search engines or whatever. But I'm just going to go back to some of these things here. I'm just going to go along. Okay, so here's another one, right? She had told the press conference that she had an up-to-date clothing that Nicola was last seen wearing, and that's something in that the public who live in the area or walk the dogs on the river near St. Michael's or downstream of St. Michael's towards Morecambe Bay can look out for. There was an ankle length, well, we know it was a knee length, black quilted or Gillette, what do you guys call it? Quilted Gillette jacket, a black Engelbert Strauss waist-length coat was worn with tight-fitting black jeans. I don't know why they had to say tight-fitting black jeans, but why not just black jeans? Long green walking socks tucked into her jeans, ankle-length green neck swellies, and a necklace, and a pale blue Fitbit. So we know that we had Sky News, and remember the walkthrough video, you guys, where they're doing the whole Nicola Bulley walk thing? Well, in there, and this is them saying that they've talked to the family and blah, 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 that then they proceed to say that there was a bobble hat and a scarf. Okay, so I'm like, well, where did we see bobble hat and scarf come into play? Because, we never heard anything about a scarf and a bobble hat, at least not in the things that were presented. So hold on. Let me find it. Oh, right here. So Ernest, which is Nicola Bulley's father, says there's so much covered. It's like a manhunt at this moment in the time. We're still no further down the line. There's still no clues. If we found part of clothing, a scarf, anything that was found somewhere, then there would be a different line of inquiry, but there isn't. We have found nothing. Okay, so at no point in any of the descriptions did we hear about a scarf until I heard, at least myself, you guys, okay, until I heard about the scarf and the bobble hat from Sky News. So I'm like, okay, well, where's that coming from? They're saying that they talked to the family, so the family. But here we have Ernest saying, if we found part of the clothing, a scarf. So again, well, I know, but that's just it though, Jackie, is that, yeah, it's in another photo, but here you have Sky News saying that they talked to the family and that they said that she had a bobble hat on and a scarf. And then when you come look at this, like, so Sky News said that, and then when you have her own dad saying, if we found a part of a clothing, a scarf, anything that was found. So did Nicola Bulley have on a scarf? Because maybe when she got out of her vehicle, because it was a brisk, cold day, that she did put on a bobble hat and wrapped her scarf around her. So, well, that's again, Pincho. That could be untrue again, that statement. Why? Because the people that are going to be talking to the grandparents, to Nicola's parents, that had seen her, that came across her or whatever, whether it was at school, would give more information than any information that we're going to get back to us. The police aren't going to tell us exactly, but that's confusing, right? Because that was never in the list. So was it her dad just thinking, like saying the word scarf, and bobble hat, or did somebody actually see Nicola with a scarf and a bobble hat? Because obviously the police have talked to the, witness in the field, and if the witness in the field knew Nicola Bulley, the witness sure would be talking, I'm sure, to the family to say, So she lived with Paul. So how would Ernest? Well, I mean, So I just told you exactly how she would know. I mean, but that's just guessing, right? Because if you know Nicola and you just don't know her just to see her, but you actually know Nicola and you could say she had a bobble hat on and a scarf, again, the police isn't going to give us all the information. They're just not. You know, they're not going to upright say, you know, even it's, I think about the Brian Koberger case, right? About the white Elantra. They clearly put out about a 2011 Elantra. And then later on, after the fact of Brian Koberger was arrested, they let us know that it was between like a 2013 or whatever it was, 2016 Elantra. But they knew that. They never updated the public with that information, but they knew that it was a different year Elantra. Because at the end of the day, the police are only going to put out there what they want you to know. And they're not going to come back to you, to the media, right? And go, oh, well, you know what? We're just going to update you on a bobble hat now and a scarf. They're not going to do that. Why invent the bobble hat now? Because Sky News said that they were talking to the family and they're the ones that brought up the bobble hat and the scarf. So if you have Ernest talking about a scarf, that's not inventing it. That's going by the fact that Sky News said it. Doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean it's true. But if you have Sky News talking about a bobble hat and a scarf, and you have Ernest in this news article, if you believe it or not, talking about a scarf, then she very much well could have been wearing a scarf and a bobble hat. Just because we didn't see it in her leaving doesn't mean she didn't put it on and somebody else witnessed it. Do you get it? So we don't know. That's just it. No, we're the ones trying to invent information. They already have way more information than we do. That's just the bottom line of it, though. They have the information. Okay, we're just trying to guesstimate at the information because they know way more than we do. So it's not inventing it. It's using with what's at our disposal, and that's all we can do. I mean, I only wish we had their information because then we would know the whole story, hopefully. Yeah. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to take a shit on you or nothing, Pincho. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to use common sense here. If it's said by the dad and it's said by Sky News who talks to them, there could be a probability easy that she did have a scarf on, but we just don't know it. Yeah. Steve Smith, I remember reading about that an NB sister's friend with a hat with the same name as the psychic. Oh, I don't even know what you guys said above there. Is the man from Rowanwater, the 9:10 a.m., is the culprit? I keep thinking he is. Don't know, because we don't know if it's a male or a female at 9:10, right? So going back to, where is it? Going back to this, according to Gisela, who, again, has multiple times said that she has talked to family members, including Paul Ansel, that had given her the video. You know, so, but this doesn't make sense. I mean, again, we got female 1, dog walker 8:47, person 2 is a female at 9:10. So what happened to the guy with the white fluffy dog? Well, this guy ends up over here, according to this picture. So person 3, elderly man with white fluffy dog, sees caravan park lady tying up willow and says about 3 people in the field that day, but yet he never spoke. His wife spoke for him. And I just finished showing you guys, and people that can come in that would have to go back, but I just finished showing you guys where he said he never saw anything. So that would mean that Hillary Barlow, his wife, misconstrued or missaid what actually happened that day, but who knows? You know, and this says this is supposed to be Penny, which is the daughter-in-law is Anne Marie, and this would be the sister-in-law, Ron's wife, Patricia M. Fletcher. So that would be Nigel's sister. Hey, hi, right? Okay, so let me go back. I'm just showing you guys, like, again, this is really just about the inconsistency and why the heck we cannot seem to understand this timeline. That's really the bottom line of it, no matter how great your brain cells are or not, right? So this one here is, I think this one here is about the children, about the babysitting part. So Ernest, recalling their last conversation, he said, her mind was great. We picked the children up the Thursday before she went missing, as we do every Thursday. Now, listen to the wording in here, and you're going to see that it's inconsistent. Okay? And I'll point it out in a sec. We took them home. Nicola had a meeting with her boss in Garstang, and she said, can you stay a bit later because I have an important client coming in on Zoom? We said no problem and stayed. Okay. How does that sentence make sense? And this is why in another article, it said that the grandparents were actually at Nicola Bulley's and Paul Ansell's home and were babysitting the kids. I couldn't find that stupid article if my life depended on it. I had it open for the longest time, and then I accidentally closed it off. But anyways, who's gonna, like, this is where things get twisted. And then you'll see this article in another article, because that news article took their information and put it out like their own, like they do, right? Because they have that stuff. So this says, we took them home. Nicola had a meeting with her boss in Garthang, and she said, can you stay a bit later? What do you mean, can you stay a bit later? It doesn't make sense. If they're at their own home, what do you mean, can you stay a bit later? First of all, then you would use the word they. Can the children, can they stay a bit later? Because I have an important client meeting, but that's not what's said here. It says, can you stay a bit later? Well, they're already at their own home if they are. So why would you say that? And it said, we said no problem and stayed. So does that even make sense, guys? Seriously? You're not going to sit there and say, yeah, you know what? We'll stay at our home a little bit longer with the kids. It just doesn't make sense. And yet in another article, it says that they babysat the kids at Nicola Bulley's house because she had this important meeting or whatever on Zoom. I don't know. I don't know. The words don't make sense. She had done her work and she was very upbeat about getting her mortgage sorted. I said, we better go now. And Nicola came to the front door. Okay, so again, that doesn't make sense. Why would Nicola go to the front door? Like, if you're going to the front door, I said, we better go now. I said, we better go now. Right? So that would mean that they are at her house. Right, Carol. But that's what I'm saying. In this one paragraph alone, or a couple paragraphs here, again, they've totally misconstrued the words and the place. Like, they themselves wrote this article that didn't make sense. They placed them at their own home, and then they placed them in Nicola Bulley's home by the same token. You know? Well, it doesn't matter where it comes from. I mean, there's all these different ones. Like I said, you can't just listen to one thing, right? I mean, are you fully going to get the information from just listening, though, to just the timeline of events from the people that can't even make sense of their own shit, which is the Lancashire police? I mean, obviously you have, say, these people talking to the articles as well. So you have to take all of it in and then just throw away the shit that you think doesn't make sense. But the bottom line is, doesn't matter if you go to the police or the articles, just none of it really makes sense. And so you have to use your own brain cells and go, well, let me try to make sense of it. Because you wouldn't think that this case would have been that difficult. How can you screw up so much in so little of a time? Well, they perfectly well did. And the witnesses, yeah. I mean, the witnesses, who knows? Was it a male and a female? Was it two females? Like, who was she placed at school at 8:43 or 8:40 on the time? Who knows? Honestly, we're never going to make hide nor hair that unless we have literally people that live there saying to you, you know, that, look, I was there, you know, that's not going to happen, really. You might get the odd person that lives there, like in some cases, you know, that are going to go like, yeah, I'm from there. This would make sense. Or I know this person. Here you go. This is who they are. Da 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 da. But so said I said we better go now. And Nicola came to the front door and gave us a kiss and told her I loved her. And that was the last conversation, right? That would imply that they went to the door, they left, Nicola gave them a kiss. So how do you have two different things happening? Because they messed it up. This article was messed up. So most people, when you listen to most people, they're going to say, well, no, like every Thursday night, we picked up the kids, because that's the conversation they're going to remember in their head. Whereas in my head, I'm like, well, I read an article where it said that they were at Nicola's house, and this one here is basically saying the best of both worlds. So how can you go wrong if you're putting the best of both things? Hi, Callie girl. Penny is a witness who is being hidden in a false timeline. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see here. What else we got? Okay, this one here. This one always bugged me because Superintendent Sally Riley of Lancashire Police said inquiries so far had left a 10-minute window in which they cannot account for Miss Bulley's movements. Now, when Sally spoke about this, she said, so the timeline we're looking for is 9:10 to 9:20. Great. What about 9:10 to 9:33? Because the only thing you can do at 9:10 is place the phone in her hand, walking around in the upper field, and that the last person saw her. Who knows if the last witness was in the upper field or lower field when they were leaving, that said, hey, yeah, I can place Nicola Bulley in the upper field because I know her. And then they left through that kissing gate or wherever. Obviously the kissing gate, because the police have already said, that nobody left through the other side based on camera footage. So I don't understand why it was said 9:10 to 9:20, because obviously they can't physically, if she's not in line of a camera and they just have the phone data to come off with. But it just always bugged me. Why would they not say from 9:10 to 9:30 at least, not 9:10 to 9:20, that this is the time, like, information we're looking for? So anyone, with dash cams out there at 9:15, I don't know. Again, just whatever. What does this one say? The last confirmed sighting of her was at 9:10 as she had logged on to a works Teams call. Well, obviously that was at 9:01, which ended at 9:30 a.m. Still logged on. Her mobile phone and the lead. So this is why I pulled this one up, obviously. All right, again, her mobile phone and the lead and harness for her dog, Springer Spaniel Willow, were found on a bench close to the river around 9:35, while Willow was found running between the gate and the field and the bench. Well, I mean, they can't even get what the heck Willow was doing, right? I already showed you 4 different versions of that. And as for her mobile phone and lead and harness, okay, that's just not from an article. That literally came out of Rebecca Smith's mouth during one of those press conferences. I'd have to go back. Well, you know what? I'm sick of going back to those things, to be honest. But I mean, because they're just mind-boggling. But Rebecca Smith, in an interview, at first she's talking about the lead and the harness, and then when she brings it up again throughout that interview, then she only keeps saying the word harness, and then I think the next one in that same interview she uses the word lead again. But she did literally say lead and harness in one of those press conferences that she gave. And I didn't pull that up because like I said, it's in another video, and this is just a live just to really talk about, just like I said, the inconsistencies. And no wonder people's thoughts are all over the place. It's understandable. Pincho, absolutely, why people are seeing different things or listening to different things. But again, we know from the interviews of the Lancashire police that they can't even stay consistent with their stuff. And they never did come back and update. But again, that's just how they work. They're not going to sit there and go, hey, you know what, outside world, let me just update you on this information. No. And you can see that they're very arrogant and, very defensive. Police inquiries suggest her phone was on the bench at 9:20. Well, pretty sure Rebecca Smith said moving towards the bench, 9:20. Miss Riley said, I don't wish to speculate. Yeah. Don't you guys speculate, but we're going to speculate. and that we don't know. But it is possible, as the dog was loose off the lead, that there may have been an issue with the dog that led her to the water's edge. She puts her phone down to go and deal with the dog momentarily, and Nicola may have fallen in. And she very well could have, you guys. I mean, that's why in that last video with the timeline, that's why I showed you both sides and what that guy had said. Because can I ask you guys, for anyone that doesn't live there, whoops, I got to find where you guys are. Sorry, I'm in a whole different thing. Can I ask you guys, anyone that watched that last video that I did with the timeline and I showed you both sides of that water, did you guys really comprehend just how much of an incline that guy estimated at about 40% angle? So if Willow's leash is found halfway between the river and the bench, because I always had it in my head that, okay, it makes sense. She tripped over the dog, perhaps, hit her head, and, but yet there was no slip marks. And that's always what stopped me from believing that was the 2 feet of water. But I mean, it definitely is a possibility, that everything that went against finding Nicola Bulley at that moment happened. It's a possibility. It's not like that crap doesn't happen with other people. Like I said, I know a couple of dive team searchers, and I've watched their videos and how they've, how police have already deemed them as cleared. And especially I remember this one guy, this one story that AWP did. And it was like a pond. It was more like a pond in a farmer's yard, right? Like think of a big pond spot that's in a farmer's yard. Nothing that was greatly big, but, pretty decent side pond. Police cleared it. AWP decided that they got a phone call that they were going to go back and check out that pond that the police had cleared. Sure enough, they finally found this guy after, 15, 20 years, or I think 15 years or something. So, I mean, we can imagine that perhaps that everything that went wrong for Nicola that day did happen. It's hard because, like, most people will sit there and go, no, Nicola didn't take her own life. Like, why would she have? She had a spa date, or she was making a spa with her sister, or whatever. She, I guess, got some concert tickets. She just had sold something about her mortgage thing with her boss. She was in happy spirits. So everything would go against taking her own life by a lot of those things as well. But then there's a lot of things that could go for it by what the family said and releasing that information about the alcohol and the January 10th stuff, but the perfect storm could have happened. I mean, it could have. When I showed you guys in that video, about so it's a 40 incline, and then the drop is about 80, he figured, down. And he said nobody's going to be getting out of there if they fell in there, meaning that obviously they would have to walk along it till they could get a point. So if Nicola Bulley did happen to trip over her dog, didn't leave a step mark because she kind of flew in the air. And I literally watched this guy named Skyhawk. He has videos where he literally dives into the water. So if she bonked her head on a piece of water, and hit one of those big rocks with her head because she flew in. Like, let's just say she flew in, put her hands down, but it didn't matter because the water is deeper than what the rock is in a sense, or her hands would go down further than the rock. And then she conked her head on one of those big ass rocks underneath there. It's at the end of the day, it's possible that truly did happen. And that through all their work, through all their sonar, through everything about that slow moving little slough of a river, that they literally couldn't find her. That's the part that's hard to believe, right? Because we can't comprehend how that is even possible, that for weeks they're looking for Nicola Bulley. And then poof, pop, some, psychic medium says, whoop, found her, right here. Yeah. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I think Nicola Bulley jumped in the river because of Penny. You think she was pushed? More sleep. You're talking about Brian Koberger's arraignment tomorrow, right? Which they can't show live. They have to wait till the court hearing is over before they can make that public. Not sure how many of you watching right now watched the Brian Koberger Idaho case on that one. But yeah, his arraignment, or the grand jury indicted him. Whatever happened to Ron, Penny, and wife was the panic station. Anyways, one sec, guys. I just need a drink. So that one was obviously about the scarf again. Just the father saying about the scarf. And it just could have been because she normally has a scarf and hat on, and maybe that's why he made that comment. Maybe she did, and maybe she didn't. Again, we don't know. We don't know nothing, it seems like. What does this one say? Speaking about the river route where Nicola was last seen Ernest, there is no sign of slip. Oh, okay. This is when he's talking about it. There is no sign of slip or falling. And so our thought was, has somebody got her? I asked the sergeant from Fleetwood a few days ago, is there any chance of her being taken? And she said, I don't think that's the case. I said, how can you know that? It's such an isolated area. The only way that has happened is if somebody who knew her. I think the police thought initially when they saw the phone on the bench and the dog wasn't tethered that she may have gone into the river, and that was their main line of search. So, I mean, you can tell here about the family too, and you could tell by even in Emma's interviews and stuff like that, that people were frustrated. Because why do you keep telling us that there's nothing, no slip marks, no clothing, no nothing to show us? Why do you keep telling us that you believe that she fell in the water? Like, is there a chance of her being taken? And she says, I don't think that's the case. Great. You don't think that's the case, but maybe it could have been the case at the time. But hence you didn't think so. So you didn't cordon off any of the area because you just believed, and that was their mistake. That was their downfall right there with everybody. You can't keep saying that there's nothing there, that you don't think so. Great, you don't think so. That's not like saying, no, for sure there's not. No, I don't think so. Think stranger abduction was highly unlikely. Well, to me, the third-party abduction thing became more likely as time was going on, right? Some people thought of it right away. I really didn't. I knew that that was a route to think, but again, I thought that in a very small time frame of what we were given, that wouldn't really make sense because people would be going up and down that path. People said that perhaps there was a boat, that took her across, or she went to that manor that was getting renovated or whatever it was, or that someone in a red vehicle, like there was these fishermen and different things. I really didn't start thinking too much about the third party involvement because of the small timeline until about the 3-week mark. And I was like going, they can't find her in the water. Okay, her body's going to float at some time and somebody's going to find her. But at this point, nobody had. And so, yeah, that's when it became to me, well, okay, nothing's really adding up here. So maybe it is more plausible that a third party involvement had happened, But then they found her body on February 19th. And then people believe that she was placed there after the fact. And that's hence because, again, right, they literally just told you to believe, or that they didn't think that was the case, but they had nothing to give you. And that's the whole bottom line of it. Conspiracies and all that will come into play because of what their words were said to the public, that we got nothing to show you, but we want you to believe us. And even her own father is saying, well, is there a chance that she's taken? And she said, I don't think so. Huh. Well, for sure. I don't think so. But again, that's just quoting words from a media, a news media. But we all know how inaccurate these can be as well, as I just showed you in the last article. But that was the bottom line. You can't expect people of the public to go, "Yep, okay, we're just gonna work with you." It's kind of like someone saying, "Well, I haven't seen God." Well, maybe people will, but I'm gonna believe you anyway, even if I've never seen him myself. You gotta give something up at least to show that's true, right? Besides the people that just believe in whatever they want to believe, I guess. I don't know. It's just they never gave anything. So why wouldn't the public get upset about what they're saying? Not only are they coming off arrogant and very attacking, almost like back to the public, but hey, we ain't got shit all to show you. Remember when that guy asked Rebecca Smith at the press conference, do you have any evidence to show that you? Nope, we don't. I mean, that to me was the most laughable thing. Nope, got nothing. But that's what we believe. We got blind spots and cameras, and we don't have all that, but we got a pretty good circle, but we can't complete it. But still, go ahead and believe us. Oh, you got mathematical proof of God. God comes into my dreams. That's even better than mathematical proof. There's always going to be the scientific people out there, or the free spiritual people like myself out there. So what else do we got? What does this one say? Oh yeah, this one. Okay, Nicola Bulley, a mortgage advisor, did the school run and left her car parked up at St. Michael's in the Village before walking on the footpath along at 9:15. Okay, this was the February 1st article. So again, it just depends what people read and where their brain stops, listening to the information afterwards, and what their brain holds, right? Because again, like mine, I don't recall anything about a freaking female witness in the upper fields. I just recall it as being a male witness, white, fluffy white dog. That's where my last memory goes, to the witness up in the 910 area. So if there was something that came out about a female in the 910 area, I don't know where that came from. Anyway, speaking to the Mirror today, parents Ernest and Dot vowed that they will never stop looking until they find her. The alarm was raised at 10:30. There we go. See, we got 9:15 all along the footpath, and we got 10:30 that the alarm was raised. And then somebody is saying something about that a dog was running loose at like 10:15, and like an hour after, or an hour away. I can't remember what it was. Somebody said. Anyways, it's again amazing what people remember, but again, this is what they're putting out there. The alarm was raised at 10:30 a.m. on Friday when a friend found Nicola Springer Willow running loose by the riverbanks and her phone connect. That is quite the amount of time. That's way off, isn't it? So you go from 8:40, she leaves the school, kind of placing her along the lower field at 8:47, but yeah, we have a 9:15 river path time, and then they have an 10:30 that the alarm was raised. Yeah. What about 10:50 when Paul got the phone call from the school? So, obviously this is from February 1st, but again, it was what's put out there. And it really just depends on the memory that somebody remembers that's following the case. And then they remember this. How many fishermen have fallen and drowned at number 7 Deep Hole on the River Wire? I don't know. Do you know? The alarm was raised at 10:30 a.m. on Friday when our friend found Nicola Springer spangling a willow. Well, who knows what that means at that point, because, right, at this point when you're reading that, so is the friend Penny, is the friend Anne-Marie Parker, or not Parker, Anne-Marie, there's an Anne-Marie Parker, but Anne-Marie Fletcher. Is it, Ron? Who's the friend, right? At this point, you don't even know, because the whole thing is off anyway, 10:30. Obviously this is February 1st. It was later redacted, so at this point you're going, yeah, who's the friend? And it just depends, again, what your memory holds from the case and what articles that you've read. Okay, I've already read that. So let's just look at some of these ones by Grizzly True Crime here. So before Nicola goes missing, Nicola was making plans with her sister Louise the evening before she went missing. They were planning to go to a spa getaway and discussing the treatment she would get. Their mom, Dot, said Louise had just booked Ribby Hall because they both had spa vouchers. She had just sent Nicola the night before the treatments. Louise booked it on Friday morning and sent it to Nicola, but she never got back to her. They are very close. Nicola had also recently bought tickets to watch her children's choir and gymnastics performance. Nicola's dad said she was on a high spirits the evening before she went missing and had just had a meeting with a new important client. Her dad said, sorry, just going to scroll up here. Her dad said she had no health problems, was enjoying her job, and lived for her children. We picked the children up Thursday. Now, again, this is going by what the article is saying, okay? And because this one article does have all this stuff in there. But let's see. We picked the children up on Thursday before she went missing, as we do every Thursday. We took them home. Nicola had a meeting with her boss in Garstang, and she said, can you stay a bit later because I have an important client coming in on Zoom? We said, no problem. See, this one says, can you stay a bit later? And she said, can you stay a bit later? Right. She had done her work and she was very upbeat. So that was just the same article that I had showed you where it was double talking itself. I said, we better go now. And Nicola came to the front door and gave a kiss, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's what a Grizzly True Crime had put up there about what happened before. So, I mean, when you listen to that, does that sound like someone that wants to take their life, honestly? You know, granted, we know about the alcohol and menopause thing and, you know, the thing home. Sorry if I have this in the way. But does that sound really like somebody that wants to take their own life? You know? That's why I'm going more back to the whole accident thing. Because at first I thought accident or took her own life. Then I was 50-50 because I couldn't make hide nor hair about them giving that information because that information came from the family about the vulnerabilities. Paul had said there was normally carnage that morning, but this morning there wasn't. The parents had talked about, hey, Nikki, if you're out there, please come back. You know, we just love you and miss you and blah, 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 blah. Right. And she could have been. Right. I mean, she could have been. You know, but then you read all this stuff and play dates and spas and all that stuff. And I mean, if I was to think down, like if I probably really put it to myself and said, hey, does this sound like a lady that's going to take her life that day and leave her dog untied, you know, and just whatever, hop in the water. And, you know, there wasn't even rocks found in her pockets, right? Probably. I mean, if someone's going to take their own life, you'd think that they would freaking like load their pockets up with rocks or something, you know, to make sure that they went down to the bottom. Because most people, you guys know how it is. You guys try holding your breath, right? Just your normal reaction is you're going to freaking work your way back to the top, you know, because you're going to be like, I got to breathe, you know. The day my niece died in a very similar circumstances. Sorry about that, all sorts. The 10-day inquest with a jury was held earlier this year. Sorry to hear about that, all sorts. So, just to ask you all sorts, if you don't mind, since you've shared this already, was it like in the water as well? Like, did she fall in? Like, what happened? Can I ask what happened? If you don't mind sharing, because you're saying that it's similar. But yeah, that's so sad. Sorry about the tragic loss to your family. And obviously, I'm sure like that for you, this case is connecting to your heart because of your niece for sure. Yeah. Okay, so let me go back to and anyway, if you guys could just put out some hearts there for all sorts, just with your emoticons. I'm gonna put out. This is members only, but I'm just gonna put out these for you all sorts. This is what we call our caring hearts, our caring tree. For it just means simply that it just shows that you care. Yes, she was in a car. Okay. She was in a car, was found in the water. She left her phone at home and drove for 17 hours. So, all sorts. Can I ask you? Because the way you're wording this was like she took her own life. Did the inquest come to that conclusion? Can I ask you if you don't mind? Thank you, Jackie. Yeah. Anytime someone loses their life. Okay. Oh, okay. So the police thought suicide, but the jury said accidental death. Huh. What do you believe, all sorts? So the police thought suicide, but the jury said accident. See, even if Nicola Bulley, say, did take her own life, self-fate, whatever, I still think at the end of the day it's going to come back as accidental death. And that's where I kind of keep thinking that we might never know the real answer. Okay, so she got out of the right to leave her phone at home, eh? Like, you know what I mean? Phones are attached to us like anything. She got out of the car, climbed a wall, then fell back into the water. So, just by your own gut instinct, all sorts. Do you believe that she took her own life, or do you believe that it was an accident? Bridget Blaine, is not for us to prove no foul play. It's for the authorities to prove that until they can 100% show us that. Then why should we accept that? Yeah, absolutely. Um, Katrina, what are the 4 videos that people are talking about that were taken before she went missing? I'm not honestly sure what that's referring to be honest. I know that there was 4 press conferences. Just kind of all sorts. Like I said, in your heart of heart, all sorts. What do you believe to be the truth? Just based on your own thoughts and information, I suppose. Okay. She was struggling mentally, but was starting a new business the following week. I think she was under massive pressure and just wanted to get away for a while as she took her passport. Huh. Okay, I was all with that up until you said she took her passport. she was struggling mentally. So, right, that sounds like Nicola Bulley, perhaps, that she was struggling mentally based on what kind of information they said, but started a new business, right? So, something to look forward to. I think she was under massive pressure and just wanted to get away for a while as she took her passport. She took her passport but didn't take her phone. Like, I don't know your story fully, of course, here, all sorts. But she took her passport but didn't take her phone, and then climbed a wall and fell back into the water. Like I said, I mean, I don't know the full story. I'm just going by what you're typing to me there, and it's not adding up to me from what I'm reading of. No, doesn't take phone, took passport, climbs a wall, falls back in. Unless she was just one of those adventure hiker seeker people that I don't know. I don't know. At the end of the day, I know that I'm so sorry that you and the family members have had to deal with the loss, regardless. There are 4 videos following her exact path made by a few moments before she went missing. One even followed a female dog walker on the lower field. 4 videos made a few months before. Oh, okay. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Because there are some videos out there of people that have gone for walks prior to that were just like, I don't know, there's one called like a walk on St. Michael's and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. I can send you a link from the newspaper of the inquest that helped me maybe explain things. Well, that's the email that you could send that article to. And as I wait for that, let's go to the LE timeline. So, I mean, we already looked at this actually, the LE timeline, but on the actual Lancashire. Again, 8:43, Nicola walked along the path. I'm not sure why in this one it doesn't start at 8:40 first. Having dropped off her children at school. Honestly, I'm reading this and I'm just going, all I can think about is, well, what about the 8:40 time? What about the 8:43 time that you said she was just before the Iron Bridge? What about the 8:43 time that you said she was near the bench already? What about the 8:47 time that you placed a witness on the freaking towpath? What about the 8:40 time that someone in the lower field seen her? So we're just going to skip that, to be honest. It's just the same timeline that everybody knows. What does this one say? A friend said, and this is where I think it came from that one article. A friend said that she had spoken to a pair who may have been the last people to see Nicola before she disappeared. They said that Nicola was laughing and joking as she passed them. They added that 2 other dog walkers found Nicola found on the ground 2 feet away from the bench. And this is that article, you guys, where, see, this one's saying that the phone was unlocked, right, versus, say, locked or whatever by other ones. And I don't know. If you're seeing a screensaver, I'm going to say that it's locked. And that's, unless Ron and Penny are absolute total freaking idiots, which could be true, I suppose. But, you think that one of them would have picked up the phone when Paul called or that they would have just used the phone if it was unlocked, okay? So it just makes more sense that the phone would have been locked in locked mode, that it, so if the phone call ended at 9:30, but was still logged into or whatever. I mean, if somebody calls, you can still access the phone, but if it goes into lock mode, because it's like if I don't use my phone, it automatically goes into, lock mode, which is an iPhone, which is what Nicola Bulley had. It's an iPhone, will go into lock mode after a certain amount of time, depending on what options you put on your phone, right? And perhaps it was on silent mode because she was in and listening to a call, so she had it on silent mode in the first place. Who knows? Either way, they seem to not use that phone to use it to call anybody from Nicola Bulley's phone, let alone see Nicola Bulley's name on a dog tag. So who knows, WTF with all that stuff. So they added that two other dog walkers found Nicola's phone on the ground 2 feet away from the bench and recognized the screensaver picture. They were unable to unlock her phone. Oh, really? Oh, unable. Sorry. They were unable to unlock her phone, so they contacted a friend who then called the school where Nicola's girls were. And then Paul Ansel, Nicola's partner, was contacted. Let me read that one part again. They were unable to unlock the phone, so they contacted a friend who then, well, again, who's they? Is it Penny, Anne Marie, Ron? Is it Anne Marie and Ron and Penny still at home? Who knows? Who then called Nicola's girls, and then Paul Ansel, Nicola's partner, was contacted. So he rushed to the scene from the family home 3 miles away in Inskip, which takes about 7 to 9 minutes. Let's just give about 9 minutes, okay? Because 7's pushing it. That's barring the fact that you're not running into anything along the way. Notifying the police, a dog walker spotted Willow near the bench, dragging her harness and lead. So wait, now the dog was dragging the harness? A dog walker spotted Willow near the bench, dragging her harness and lead. So the dog walker was dragging the harness and lead. Again, this one is the one that makes the least sense. I think she either's been faffling at the edge of the water because the dog's been smelling fish bait and she slipped and she had a medical episode. Okay, well, the medical episode's possible. Nicola's partner has described the situation as perpetual hell. Like I said, that article in itself was probably the least of the articles that would say make sense. Oh, which reminds me, Wendy, Drama Llama Wendy, you bought us 3 coffees, I guess, yesterday on the 20th. Make sure I give you a shout out for that, okay? So thank you very much, Drama Llama Wendy, for the 3 coffees. Thank you so much. TVR said the TV interview was set up, but they didn't ask the right questions. Well, that's for sure, DW. That's for sure. Then don't forget, it's just all a mismatch. Media, Isla. Well, again, what about, Isla. Sorry, you guys call her Isla. Isla, whatever her last name is again. That she puts up there about speaking to the guy, like the lost witness to have, possibly saw Nicola, right? The Mr. Fluffy White Dog. And then that video comes down, but yet the video is still out there because obviously, some other people had recorded it, whatever. It's still out there. And then on Twitter, someone asks her about the whole witness thing. And then she said something about that the witness, something about him being on the towpath, and like another witness had saw her after that. So that could be the fluffy white dog that she kind of changed up her story. Again, what the fuck, right? Like, what do you say to all that shit? You're just trying to make hide nor hair of it. And yet you really just can't, because nothing really leads you in the right direction. I mean, like I said, you're just trying to, as a human being, take the common sense stuff out of the crap that's out there. And even that seems to be pretty much almost impossible. And so the best scenario I found was in the video that I put out there. Doesn't mean it's accurate. It just means that's the only thing I could think of that made sense about how Ron saw the phone separately to Penny. And then, of course, in the timeline, people are wondering, well, why did it take so long? Well, again, Ron's probably not going to leave the field once he goes, duh, something's amiss here. He's talking to his wife, who's talked to Penny, so he's probably still there, even if other dog walkers come along, like I told you, because you have that guy from Curtis Media Video that's going, well, the dog wasn't going from the kissing gate to the bench like people are saying. That's not true. The dog was trying to get over the stile, right? And the dog may have very well been trying to get over the stile, one, because maybe by chance Nicola went over it, or by chance that she literally fell into the water and he was trying to follow her because he could see her floating away. But again, where's where's the barking? Where's, you know, like, where's somebody, nobody heard the scream, and, so what's the perfect storm? That's the part that just nobody can understand. Like, how could everything from zero evidence to zero anything to whatever, who's going to believe that, right? No matter how many times you hear it, who's going to believe we got nothing to show you? The dog's not wet. Nobody heard a scream. Nobody heard the dog. Like, the dog wasn't barking. And we got no evidence, no scarf. It's a very slow-moving little river. Sonar couldn't find her. This couldn't find her. Who's going to believe that? Who's going to, like I said, it could be the perfect storm that happened. But most people are going to be like, yeah, I'm sorry, that's a bunch of bullcrap. There's no way that happened. What did Sailor Man say? Carol, all started at the church and followed the exact path. No one also went between the church and the river. But one also went behind the church and the river, around the back of the church and down the weir. There are always two people. Carol, all of the church. 1 second here. Okay. 1 sec, guys. Give me a second here, just to my email. Okay, let's just stop this for a sec. Present window. No. What do I want to put it on? Okay, I accept your stuff. So let's see this. So this is Hannah Elizabeth Warren. That the body was recovered from one of the locks at Port Talbot Harbor. Says our missing daughter wasn't classed as high risk by police until she was found dead. The Metropolitan Police admitted 5 shortcomings in their investigation into Hannah Warren's death after she went missing during a bout of suspected psychosis. The family of an ambitious young woman. Hold on, just make sure that. Let me take this down. I'm sorry. And I can't really zoom it in because I'm just literally on my email to the page. But anyways, so let's see here. So the body of the 28-year-old Hannah Warren was found near the entrance of Port Talbot docks on February 4th, 2016, around 100 miles away from where her car was found in a lock. An inquest held before a jury in Swansea in January of 2023 concluded that the 2023, February 4th, she was found in January 2023. Holy smokes. Concluded that the inadequacies in the Metropolitan Police investigation did possibly cause or contribute to her death. The force has since admitted 5 shortcomings in the investigation. Despite Hannah exhibiting the signs of psychosis prior to her death, it was heard how the Met Police only classed her as a medium risk person before this was later escalated to high risk. It was also revealed that the force did not contact Hannah's family once throughout her disappearance, but by this point, a body had been discovered at the docks by a member of the public, which was later identified as Hannah. Following the inquest conclusion, Hannah's mom, Jane Barnes, spoke to Wales Online along with one of Hannah's 3 brothers, Thomas. Paying tribute to her sister, Thomas said Hannah loved life and was generous with hers. She lived to make others happy, to help and to heal. She lived life to the fullest. The inquest heard now, Hannah was reported missing to the Met Police by her partner and flatmate around 8 p.m. on February 3rd, 2016. It was almost a year to the day that a colleague allegedly reportedly SA'd her. In the hours which led up to her disappearance, Hannah displayed signs of delusion, believing she had spoken to the former U.S. President Barack Obama and had hacked into government website and was being chased by government officials. With the behavior out of character for Hannah, her family believed she was suffering from SA trauma syndrome. SA trauma syndrome is a form of post-traumatic stress disorder frequently seen in survivors of SA violence. Systems include intense fear, a feeling of detachment, having flashbacks, and having triggers such as places and dates associated with the event. Police officers PC Michael Lowe and PC Jordan Kozalski visited Hannah's flat in, I'm not sure how to say this, Streatham, South London, for around 20 minutes that evening, where they searched her bedroom. It was heard. Hannah's phone was found switched off but fully charged on her bed, along with her engagement ring on her bedside table. The inquest heard how the officers went back to the station in Brixton to try and trace Hannah's car via her black box, but her phone was not used as a means of gathering information to possibly locate her. As part of their investigation, Met Police registered Hannah's car on the automatic number plate recognition ANPR camera system. However, it was marked as low urgency for her to be stopped. Hannah's body was found by a member of the public at around 9:15. Oh, these times are just eerie. The following day, Met Police officers who would not have been aware of the discovery at the time escalated her as high-risk missing person around 9:30, her family said. Jane said a police officer finally got in touch with and visited her home at 5 p.m. on February 4, 2016, around 8 hours after Hannah's body was discovered by a member of the public in Port Talbot. By this point, Jane said Hannah's partner had already informed her of the heartbreaking news some hours earlier. Thomas and Jane said it was hugely frustrating and upsetting for the family when they pieced together what happened and say there were so many missed opportunities to save Hannah's life. The pair said two Independent Police Complaints Commission, IPCC, which has since been replaced Independent Office for the Police Conduct, or IOPC, investigations into the Met's handling of the case found no issues. Of course they didn't, despite the 2023 inquest finding 5 failures. Scared me. I'm in a different window. Sarah, becoming a member. Thanks, Sarah. You totally gave me a heart attack. So I'm on a different window, of course, as I read it, right? Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so let's see here. One of the IPCC investigations concluded in October 2017 that the officers were really proportionate and appropriate, and Jane's complaint was therefore not upheld. Okay. At the end of the inquest, the jury gave a narrative conclusion, finding that Hannah tried to save her own life after she entered the harbor and then drowned in the process. They said inadequacies in the Met Police investigation possibly did cause or contribute to her death. This meant suicide could be ruled out as a potential cause of death. The family said that the conclusion had brought them some relief after they had been told by the officers from the outset that Hannah had likely driven into the port into an attempt to take her own life. Jane said although the inquest provided the family with much needed answers, it would never bring her daughter back and put the right actions that they say failed her. Jane said over the last 7 years, it has been extremely difficult for the family to function. Not only have they lost Hannah, but they have been consumed in trying to find out exactly what happened to her and exactly what went wrong. A Met Police spokesman said the Metropolitan Police did not investigate Hannah's death. Okay, that's at that point at which Hannah's disappearance was being investigated by the Met Police. This was a missing persons investigation. So, an IOPC's spokesperson said, "We've completed our report in 2017, concluded that there was insufficient evidence to uphold the complaint. Our findings were shared at the time with the parties involved and the coroner. We acknowledge the jury's finding at the inquest into Miss Warren's death last month, which identified shortcomings, right? Okay. Which potentially contribute to the cause of death. We are considering the relevant evidence heard at the inquest and assessing further steps be inquired. Okay, so let me stop screen there, and I'll just, whoops, I'll come on screen here. I'm probably gonna have to get going here right quick anyway. So let me see if there's any more on there. So thank you for sharing that story. A lot of similarities there, especially with times, with Nicola Bulley. And, you know, I know what the inquest revealed, all sorts. Do you believe she took her own life? Or that she tried to save her life but drowned in the process? Because I don't know, but from what I read there, somebody that leaves their phone and their engagement ring and that at home, yeah, it doesn't sound like, I don't know. Let me just, 1 second here. Here, let me put that up for you. So I'm not sure exactly where it says like the Met Police. You know, I mean, the inquest did find 5 things that contributed, or that they feel like that definitely there was some things that they did wrong. Yeah, I mean, I'm like my gut when I was reading that, I felt like that was somebody that possibly would have taken her own life just by reading about the phone at home and the engagement ring on the bed. But I can understand why it would be a question in your head of, sure, that the inquest, but how would they know? Like, how would they know that she tried to save herself and then drowned? You know? So I can understand where where the thinking, I get, it would be going over and over and over again in your head, because you have some things leaning this way and some things leaning the other way, possibly. And I think that's the same thing with the Nicola Bulley case, is that you have things that are leaning towards this and other things that are leaning towards that, and people in their heads are just trying to make sense of it. And this is where, like I said, then things get kind of twisted around, because somebody remembers this part of the investigation, somebody, like for Nicola Bulley now, somebody remembers that. Beautiful girl though, all sorts. Again, sorry for the family's grief and loss. I can only imagine, right? Because you should never bury a child before yourself as a parent. And absolutely, it really boils down to the police being so inconsistent with the details that the media and the public became so confused, leading to speculation. Absolutely. But they wanted to blame other people for their, inabilities. And same thing with, obviously, that story there, is that, so they deemed that they had no, with Hannah here, that there was no, issues whatsoever. And then the inquest finds that there was 5. In 2023, this happened back in 2016, that the family has had to wait that long. Really? 2016 to 2023? What a crock of crap. Took that long? What are they sitting there doing? Like freaking, watching some freaking TV in the meantime? I think I'll work on the case a little bit again. I'm gonna eat some donuts. I'm gonna. I don't know. What the frick took that long? Okay, so if blood was found at the top of the wall where she climbed, can only guess she was dazed. And okay, there you go. Although it does seem right, and this is exactly it. So her phone being at home, okay, that's not normal. We all know that. Everyone freaking takes their phone. Unless this person just literally wanted some peace and quiet to get away, whatever, but she also leaves her ring, on the thing. But again, that could just simply be explained away. My husband takes off his ring, while he's working, and he'll put it on at certain times. But while he's working, he takes it off. He's in construction. But now, if blood was found at the top of the wall where she climbed, that could definitely make sense then. Okay? That she bonked her head, right? And we all know it could have been a nice little conk on the head. Same with Nicola Bulley. She could have hit her head on a freaking rock, but because it landed in the water, you probably chances are you're not going to see blood because it would have just flown away down the river. Can only guess she was dazed in the dark and fell back. So now, if I hear that, then I'm going to believe that she, chances are more, bonked her head, and exactly that, right? It freaking like, ow, you grab your head or something if you heard it, and next thing you know, you've slipped and fallen in, My sister had to fight all the way to get it to this inquest, right? Well, the thing is that your loved one means the world to you. It might not mean the world to the police, that's for sure. It's just another case, really, to them. There's some people that might take some cases more to heart, but at the end of the day, it's just another case that comes along that they need to figure out. And some people's hearts, it might stick in, but it's just another case to them. With you, this is your family, and that you have to sit there and fight to 2023 to finally get an answer. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Kind of right there, Jackie. Go away, public. But give us, feel free to go to our GoFundMe. A TikToker went down the track and filmed the gate was open, and he walked through filming. I noticed the tracks of it on his video, but only 6 feet into the field to turn around. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few videos I remember watching where this one guy was showing the different ways that that Nicola Bulley could have went out. Like I said, there's this channel that's called Seahawk or something like that. Something Hawk, I remember. And he has like quite a few like little videos, different videos all over the place of the river wire. But I remember there was that one person. I don't remember anymore because that was like near the beginning of the Nicola Bulley case at the time on there. Here, let me. Well, I want to say thank you to All Sorts first and foremost here for sharing that story. Very heartbreaking, but I'm glad you shared that story because it is. I can understand why you're saying it's, almost like a parallel story, somewhat to Nicola Bulley. The ANPR system went off 27 times. Other police forces phoned the Met Police as to what to do as they knew where she was driving, but the Met Police didn't contact them back. Oh, well, yeah, I'd be pissed then too. So the ANPR system, right? I'm taking that's the thing that catches your license plate or something like that, right? And other police forces phoned the Met Police as to what to do, and they knew she was driving, but the Met Police didn't contact them back. Yeah. So things like that where it could have helped, you know, um, and then didn't. But eventually, Lizzie, the lady in the yellow jacket became a nothing burger. As far as we know, that just became a lady that was pushing a pram that didn't even see Nicola Bulley or had no information to offer up. That's the thing. They came out looking for these people, and then it seems like none of them had anything to offer up. But it's not the way it was portrayed in the media, you know, whether it was the white fluffy dog guy or like, yeah. I mean, if somebody saw Nicola Bulley or heard about the story, any normal person would be calling in if they felt they had something to offer, not like 5 days later. And another thing that I remember in, I think, Grizzly True Crimes, that crime analysts saying about the inquest, like if she was deemed as high risk right away, like we know she was according to the police timeline, on the 24-hour timeline. She was deemed as a high risk right away. Why wasn't iOS, is that iOS, um, not put on till like 3 days after? She was deemed as a high risk right away. So how did that happen, right? High risk, and yet, the senior, oh, sorry, I think it's SIO, senior, right? Is it SIO or I? Sorry, guys. I'm just not used to your terminology, and my brain's getting really tired right now. Um, yeah. When you have someone like Penny's grandson threatening to shoot holidaymakers' dogs, yeah, right, Carol. you know, I remember the Son and Curtis Media's video. But I remember that comment. That comment was on a review and stuff like that. I mean, again, you know, you try, like I said, you try to think of it in the most kind of logical manner, but you really don't know the answers, and everyone's all over the map. And I get why everyone's all over the map. They don't know if it was, self fate, hurt her head, that it made sense. Um, all I know, third party, whatever, people placed her back in and stuff like that. Um, you can understand why people's heads are all over the map with this case. That it just should have been pretty simple. If they could have just got their shit together and got their timeline right, and stopped saying believe in this when we got nothing to show you. But that's not what happened. And obviously everything happens for their own reasons. And, I'm just kind of wondering if, like, all sorts, niece here, Hannah, if that's what we're going to get back, basically, like, was it self-fate? And then they're just deeming it as a, accidental death, but I guess we're just going to have to wait and see until then, right? Like, doesn't matter. We can talk about it all day long still, but hopefully when that comes out, maybe some answers will come our way and we'll be like, okay, now this makes a little bit more sense. Or maybe we'll be like, really? Is that all they're going to give us for information? I don't know. I've seen the Coroner Richard Shepard on TV series, and he is very good. Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, the bottom line is the coroner sent them back to the river for a reason, right? And specifically, obviously, to the weir, because they're trying to figure out something, like how Nicola Bulley got over the weir. So the coroner, not once, but twice, right? So the coroner wanted to know something that could equate to some answers, obviously, because other than that, it would be the police trying to figure it out themselves if they were so inclined. But if the coroner's sending them back, that's a whole different ball of wax. It's because the coroner, to me, probably, needs to know a few things to understand, what happened. Anyways, you guys, let's see here. I'm just gonna. That was Hannah. Um, This is little Willow. Now, in this picture here, Willow's little tag is turned to the side, so you don't really see it. Because at first I was like, well, where's the bottom part? But, and then you can see like the ball is here, harness, some boots in this particular picture. Little Willow. Little Willow, if only you could speak. But you guys, again, the names, okay, let's say Willow's there, and then on the back, it would have Nicola Bulley. Maybe it said Nicola Bulley, who knows what information was on there. But you can definitely tell, you can definitely see that there's some information on here, about Willow. Because that's, again, your guys' law. So you would have to put that on there. I'm pretty sure that Nicola and Paul are probably, weren't the exception to the rule. I'm pretty sure that they probably did have some pertinent information, and if perhaps there was a phone number, but still, there's still a name, right? Still a name. Yeah, no, that was, yeah, she was supposed to perhaps be a witness, but ended up being nothing burger. Second person who he always goes with, wait. All of this is hypothetical. Oh, was that a word? Shit. Never heard it before. Hypothetical? Oh, hypothetical. I think you meant to say hypothetical. Is it one of those voiced messages that you're doing? Because I was like, hypothetical. What's that? Not one witness seen Nicola at the river that day. I don't know what's true to believe. I don't know. To be honest with you, it really does just hurt the brain because, again, from start to finish, right? You're trying to listen to every little thing that's coming out of their mouth, and all you see is inconsistencies. So, like I said in the video I made, I was just trying to take what seemed the most pliable thing to answer some of those questions, because it's like we can only use the timeline that was given to us and try to make the most out of that timeline and how to explain it away, right? It's not that it was factual. It was just what I felt a good plausible thoughts for sure about what happened with the things that were said by the newspapers, and keeping it in line with, again, that there's crap set out there, but it was just taking the most common sense answers, in a sense, or common sense things, and trying to put it into a timeline to explain why there was such a big lapse in time. But I just don't think that there was this big lapse in time, because I believe that's myself that Ron was already there. So like that guy in Curtis's video, he comes strutting along at some point, and then you can see Ron. He's probably a talker. He's probably like, yeah, I just came across this phone, and paying on the phone, and and they're all just social gathering there, trying to figure out who owns the darn phone, and stuff like that. So I could easily see now, another dog walker or two, as comes in through the kissing gates, and they get into a full-on conversation, and pretty much who knows whose phones are ringing at this point or that point between, I know for me personally, but this is just me. But I mean, obviously Ron and his wife are of older age, but I know for me, if my husband told me that, I would literally be sticking on the phone with my husband going, trying to if my sister called me and said that, I'd be on the phone with my husband saying, well, just keep me on the phone, and let me know what's going on, unless of course my husband would say, well, let me call this person. But instantly I'd be at my fingertips going, okay, husband, call me back, tell me what's going on. But that's just me. It doesn't mean that two older people think the same way. Maybe it's like, okay, well, wake me up after my nap. Let me know what you found out. And, I don't know. Yeah. Hi, Grandmasaurus. I know, and it's really late in the UK and all that. Anyways, you guys, it was just food for thought. Again, with all the inconsistencies. What can I say, right? From start to finish, it's inconsistencies. It just is. So that's why people have so many different variations of what happened or what they heard. But at least when it comes to like the video and the the footage from the 4 interviews, the press conferences, at least try to keep those ones on track instead of twisting them perhaps to whatever your theory is. Meaning, at no point did Ron say that Penny had tied up the dog, like some people are trying to twist that. He clearly did not say that. Penny told him to tie up the dog. He clearly said that out of his mouth. So people, I think, they listen to it and then they forget, and then they just think that he had said it that way when really. But that's what throws things off too, is when with people with their own timelines, because he said this. Well, I like to go back right to the footage of what they actually said. But sometimes, like with Rebecca Fletcher, no, Rebecca Fletcher. What am I talking about? See, my brain's tired, guys. With Rebecca Smith, just when she's talking about Penny, and she stumble overs her word, and you have to really listen to what she's saying, because she's basically saying, so basically Penny, before she returned home, or no, after she returned home, she made a few phone calls, or then she came back, however she worded it. And you're like sitting there going, what the F did you just say, Rebecca? Like, seriously, you just literally managed to say 3 things in one flop of the mouth. So that's something where easily can be misconstrued, because she literally flubbed up talking out of her mouth. And she was like, no, before she returned, no, after, what, no. And you're just going, what? Anyways, go listen to that part again of that video with Rebecca Smith talking there. And again, people can easily jump to conclusions by listening just to that little piece alone about Penny. What about Braybrook? That with an E in Leicester or something. Oh, it's Braybrook Road. It doesn't look like it's spelled the same way that you put it. Looks like it's Braybroke. So I'm trying to look at something else. Minor letters to the driver's tier. Road with short time window obviously used a precious amount of time. Yeah. It was such a bad interview, Bridget. Braybrook is the inlet into the river, about 50 yards off the wire. Well, okay, so hold on. I mean, when I pull up Braybrook, there's nothing that spells it your way. Well, let me see again. Bray. Let me see if it's Brook. See, there's nothing that's spelling it your way. So let's go over to St. Michael's on the wire, which is way back over here. So obviously that's not the right Bray book. Okay. So where is this Bray Brook? Where's this Bray Brook that you speak of? Put it into chat. I don't know what you're talking about. Top field. You talk about the Rowan water one, Claire? Where that Rowan water is? Like, is this what's called Bray Brook here? It's between the upper field and the bench. Oh, it's between. It's between the upper field and the bench. Yeah, I'm getting confused because upper fields. Like, what are you guys calling Bray Brook? Bray Brook comes off the Brock, which leads to the on the top field. So you're talking, I mean, like we're on the top field. Yeah. So we're on the top field. What picture is this? I don't know what picture this is. Can't really. Hmm. Don't know. Got too many darn things here. Picture, that's pictures. Oh. 1 second. CCTV cameras. Is that the picture? No, it's just wording. Entitled? Is that it? Nope, it's not it either. Oh, I can't be asked to keep looking on that. Sorry, I got too many things. So on the side of the river to the field, between the top field and the bench. Other side of the river. So on, I mean, people are confusing me here, man. Let's see here. So on the top side of the river, talking about like here. I was trying to get rid of that picture, but it doesn't matter. So you're talking about here, how it comes in near the top field. And this is called Brook Bray here. And it runs into the river wire, this right here. That's what must be what you're speaking about. Yeah. Okay, so sorry. So Sailor Man, what is it you're trying to say about the Brook Bray? Sorry, I'm just confused what you're trying to say about the Brook Bray. Should get rid of that picture, but I don't know. Can't find where that picture is. Yeah, because it should just be labeled as a picture. Must be up higher. No, that's totally different. Huh. So weird. I can't find that picture because it should just be an image. Huh. I mean, how hard is it, right? It's a photo. It's a photo overlay. So stupid. Can't find it. Anyways, let me go back to your comments. River Brock enters. He was nervous and Ron was going to get cranky and storm off. Ron was so defensive. You can see it on your page now where there is, right? They got, it all reminds me of the TV program that they set up that they did for Halloween some years ago. They got some personalities you would believe do interviews and newsreaders. So you would believe. Yes, the Brook, of course. No one knew exactly where you were coming from. Okay. That's right. If Nicola was taken off the beach where she played with Willow, she could have been taken up there. Oh, is that what you're trying to say on that one? So because Willow played up here, perhaps that she was taken there. And that then you would have to believe that perhaps somebody else placed her phone on the bench and the dog over there. Pretty much, right? One of the 4 videos that shows him filming off the beach where Nicola played and underwater. Talking about like those pictures where she has of Willow on the upper field side where Willow likes to play. Lizzie, I absolutely agree. Considering they were there, for a while, and they've already talked to Ron in a sense, you think that they would have come up with some better questions than that. I mean, I'm sure in hindsight, the guy that was asking those questions is wanting to kick himself for not asking some proper questions. Like, how about simply the fact that, okay, so Penny got in at what time, approximately, or she's the one that saw the phone and the whatever on the bench first. And so what, you came along, I don't know, perhaps, well, mind you, he didn't seem to know what time he came along. Was the phone, do you know if the phone was on the ground first? Was it unlocked? Was it locked? Just the dog, was the dog tied up when you came across the dog? Just simple things of questions that were out there. Okay, so as for Sailor, you're thinking perhaps she was like taken somewhere off in this area here, perhaps. My only problem with that is I would like to think that if a third party involvement happened, that obviously the case would have been changed to, a homicide. But that part, at the moment, until the inquest comes out, I mean, it's just each to their own thinking on what they feel about this case and what happened to Nicola and what didn't happen to her, right? And that hence why, like I said, you guys know how many people still watch, the Nicola Bulley case. I don't even care if there was like 20 people still watching it. If it's something that's bugging me, and I want, perhaps some answers or help, I'd still make the videos on it. Nicola Bulley's just happens to get quite a few views all the time still. So it propels me to make more videos because there's so many people still wanting to talk about it. You know, to me, it's like I said, if you're going to sit there and keep putting out, say, Coke or Diet Coke, if more people drink Coke, are you going to really fill your shelf with Coke? Or sorry, Diet Coke, if more people are drinking Coke? No. There's people that want to talk about it, and I want to talk about it, and I'm just literally just trying to figure out this freaking timeline in a sense. As for the actual truth of what happened to Nicola, I guess, like I said, that's the inquest part that we're going to have to wait for. But it would be just nice just to even go, you know what? And that's kind of what I was trying to do with that video. Okay, well, let's try to make sense of this timeline. We keep having these timelines, and okay, let me just take away the 940, talking to the person at school one. Let's take away the 943. And you're just trying to go, okay, 947, that seems to be the time that someone in the lower fields away. But wait, did they? And that person left the gate. So, white fluffy dog. Did he see Penny tying up the dog? Like, some of those questions could have been answered to Ron in that interview, that we would have went, oh, okay, this makes sense. But the problem is that Ron's interview, it didn't overly make sense when people are listening to it, because we're like, wait, what? And then we get that drop of Penny, like, oh, yeah, my wife, but Penny called my wife. And, that gave us more insight, to say the least, of something else, like a droplet that we hadn't heard. How easily could... Well, right, Jess. That's right, Jess. Absolutely. Right? I mean, if somebody took somebody's life and they drowned that person, and there's nothing to show that that person that actually did the crime is there, well, they're just going to say it's a drowning. Because how would they be able to prove that? If there's nothing to show that somebody else was there, but yet somebody else was there, I'm sure there's a ton of cases like that. That their family members believe something else happened, but the police or whatever, or LE, had classified it as something else because that's all that they had to go on, and there was nothing to prove something else. I mean, that's just it, right? I mean, that stuff goes through my head as well. If something did happen, and they can't prove that somebody else was there because there's nothing to show for it, but yet something actually did happen, all you're going to get back is an accidental drowning. Why would Paul... You guys talk amongst yourselves just for 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. You see, I could sit here and talk about this for hours and hours and hours, but I know that in the UK time, it's like totally 11 o'clock at night, and some of you have to work tomorrow. Here, it's a holiday, you guys. It's like Queen Victoria's holiday, or the May long weekend that we call it. which is basically the Queen's Day. Um, I remember arguing with somebody at work a long time ago, and she's like saying, like, the Queen has nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. Like, what are you talking about? This is one of those know-it-alls that just can't, whatever. I remember I ended up having to go to the hospital. This is when I lived in Whitecourt, Alberta. And I was at the hospital, and whose face is right there, but nothing but the Queen's right there. You know, as I'm sitting down in the chair, as you do that, you know, when you sign into the hospital. So I took a picture, and I'm like, tell me again that the Queen has nothing to do with anything to do with Canada, or that she's on our money or anything like that. Like, hello, duh. Anyways, why would Paul call on the way to look for Nicola if he thought he'd just find her there? I think, you know, again, and this is just trying to think logically. I think it's because, obviously, like anything, if you got a phone call and said that your wife's phone's on the bench and the dog Willow, and there's like Nicola's nowhere to be found, you know, I think like anybody's, like I know for me for a fact, my heart would sink in an instant. I'm already panicked enough thinking that, you know, always worried about my husband all the time, that he makes it home safe and stuff like that. I'm kind of like, I'll say that I have this. I must have some sort of separation issues, because with my son, it was the same way. I just, you know, it's through experiences in your life, and then there's these separation issues. So if I were to hear that, and I knew that that's not the normal, you know, my heart would sink too. And, you know, obviously I'm thinking that he's thinking the same thing, of course. And he's, you know, he made comment, his heart just sank. And, you know, and in a sense, you're like, you know what I mean? You're just thinking like, no, my wife was, or, well, it's not his wife, obviously. It's his partner. They're not married. But he's thinking like, no, wait, I mean, she just left here not too long ago. What do you mean? Can't find her, she's missing. Like, you know, like most people, I would think like, okay, I'm gonna hear back from him any second. And I would literally, me personally, my husband's phone at this point would probably have about like freaking 1,000 calls on it, because I would not stop trying to call that number myself. You know, that's just personally how I would deal with something like this. The phone on the bench and the harness near the river seems staged to me. Again, you know, again, Armageddon, it's just, you know, when you have such all these inconsistencies throughout the whole thing, it's no wonder why people's speculation or thoughts go all these different ways, because you're trying to make sense of what truly you can't make sense of. The only thing you can really kind of do is go, okay, I give up. I agree with the police. They were right. She slipped in and fell, and everything that we should have had, whatever. Okay, fine. I give up. You know, but most of us that are following this don't, and you're trying to make sense of all these different things. Well, was the leash found between the river and the water, like it said? You know, but then all we have to do is go to the 4 different things being said about the dog, to the bench, to the kissing date, to the field, to know it was trying to get over the stile. 3 of those things are out of the police mouth, and the one was out of that gentleman that was on Curtis Media's video. So, right, was it on the bench? Was the leash and harness on the bench? Was it only the harness on the bench and the leash wasn't there? Was the collar on the dog, or was the collar not on the dog? Because it would have had Nicola Bulley's or Paul Ansell's phone number to it, probably Nicola Bulley's. So what do you mean you're trying to remember a phone number? Well, if you can't remember the phone number, you should at least remember the name. So if you're talking to Ann Fletcher, your daughter-in-law, then what do you mean you're talking to her about what the dog looked like, and she thinks that she knows? So she goes down there. Well, wouldn't you have seen the name Nicola Bulley? And then Anne would have probably have said, and barring the fact that that's even was properly said that way. I mean, they reported it that way, but who knows? Maybe Anne Marie, you know, like I said, if she would have heard the name Nicola Bulley, she would have known exactly who that was, you know. So, right? I mean, even what I just said there, right, makes your head spin. The 26 SSU you may have signed in the church register. Yeah. Not right. I mean, unless someone lives there and goes and flips over the book, I guess. I watched a talk by the professor called Carolyn Roberts. She's helped the police on drowning cases. It's really gets you thinking when you hear her. Carolyn Roberts. I'll have to look that up, perhaps. Eh? 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just, you know, I don't know. 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 The morning CCTV seems staged as well. I don't know because they're saying, hey, they're saying that they don't have any footage, right? So Rebecca Smith is saying that they have a CCTV camera that's working. So according to whatever, this is a private one, the one that's on the screen here. That's like a private one. Here, let me go this way. But this one's private. But this is the one, something about Rupert Fletcher. The one that he's the one that put that up there or whatever, fixed it, whatever he did. Who knows? But so if you have this camera here that Rebecca Smith is saying work, that could see the gate, the entrance, and the site, meaning the caravan site. So if Nicola Bulley came over here, then it would be apparent that they would have had Nikki on camera because this camera would be able to see that. And Rebecca Smith said that the camera was working. So for people that were confused about the Rowan Water cameras, she said, I'm not talking about any other cameras, talking about what Rebecca Smith said about this particular camera. I guess she wouldn't be too much talking about this one if that one's not owned by them, but I don't know why she wouldn't as well, considering Island not reported on it and blah, blah, blah. So if what Rebecca Smith is saying, you literally just told everyone that you had no evidence. When the reporter asked you in the press conference, do you have any evidence to support this? The answer was no. And that there was some blind spots. So if you're saying that this camera could see the front of the site and the entrance, which would be right here, guys, right? The cameras. So if they could see the front of the site and a certain, like within a certain thing, then they would have to have had Nikki on the camera based on what she said. But then again, if she's turning around saying, well, no, we got nothing to show you. Well, maybe they truly did have something, but they're just not giving up the information. No different than the white Elantra that the police knew was a different year, but originally gave the wrong year, but never updated to say, hey, you know what? It is actually not that year. It's believed to be this year, from this year to a white Elantra, but it's the same shit. They only put out there what they want to give to you, right? Because the rest of it they feel is none of our business. And even if they got more information, right, that's information they're keeping to themselves. So to me, chances are Nikki was caught on camera talking right here if she went this path. Like if she actually walked here to here and then into the upper field. Maybe she was over here and that she wasn't even on camera whatsoever because she was in this part of the lower field and the upper field. So if maybe Rebecca Smith was correct that, they got CCTV working here, but perhaps they didn't see her because she was on this part of the yellow or the red where she wouldn't have been seen, or captured on the camera. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll down. Bridget, exactly how I feel about the professor after listening to that professor. Yeah, I have to take a look at it. So it was what? Carolyn Roberts or something you said? Carolyn Roberts. Yeah, that's what you said. I can't release his name or the video as it would be unfair, so LP needs to investigate and rule out. Well, that's perfectly fine. You do you, boo. Whatever you feel is the right thing to do. Hi, Perry. Perry UK. Something definitely not right about this case. Yeah, it's because they keep feeding, because there's nothing consistent about it. That's just it. I can't. I'm just having this hard time believing, okay? Like, you have a Brian Koberger case, right? You have a Delphi case. Okay, I can understand all of that. And the misconstruing after, a lot, in a sense, what you would deem as a lot bigger event that had happened. This is literally a lady that drops off her kids to school, supposedly at 8:40, and goes on a walk. And in that whole entire press interviews and witnesses and literature from the media, you still can't make a true a true timeline, because from their underestimating what had happened and wanting you to believe something, and there's just no making an accurate timeline besides what possibly they fully well know. But as for people like myself or anyone else, we can only guesstimate or try to make sense of all the crap that's out there. But we literally can't make an actual timeline properly besides just guessing and using, the information, regardless how twisted it is, and putting it into, like, again, I mean, I keep going back to the fact of Rebecca Smith saying at 8:40 that she was seen by a couple of people at the school. Where did that come from? It just kind of eroded, like the red lady in red jacket, like the pram lady, like what, the dog walker guy, like the 8:43 timeline prior to the thing, like the 8:43 place. Like, you just can't keep, like, how do you overlook things like that? Like, how do you overlook two people that saw Nicola Bulley at the school? How come that doesn't make it into play when they're talking about it, besides like the one time you kind of hear about it? You didn't ever hear Sally Riley say anything about that, And the thing is that Rebecca Smith came onto the case 3 days later, yet she was high risk, and she should have had a senior officer on her case right from the get-go. You can't make sense of something that they've made from their own words not make sense. And then the media. So I can understand why even the media is confused. And, like I said, they're half-time they're reporting off of their other people's stories and using the other people's stories, because that's how the media works. They kind of just piggyback each other, help each other out with the stories, because they're all part of probably one big umbrella. Well, they did, actually, Perry. Well, I mean, according to Rebecca Smith, they have. Investigators still haven't traced the two suspicious fishermen seen that morning. Surely they were fishing the river, right? No, Rebecca Smith does say in a thing, whether you believe it or not, that they did track down the two fishermen, and that it was deemed that there was no suspect about them at all. But they checked into it because people had brought it to their attention, and about the red vehicle or whatever. So I'm not sure which interview it is, probably the latter. But it's totally in there about her talking about the fishermen. Should it be made public so IP cannot sweep it underneath the carpet? Yeah. You guys' rules in the UK are quite different on your privacy issues going there. Because look how they could just in the UK turn off and turn on. If anyone asks for any FOIA, too bad. We're going to turn off Nicola Bulley's case. So anybody that requests anything, too bad. Sucks to be you. Oh, wait, freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of this. But oh, wait, no. We're just going to turn it off and on at will as we feel is best. Isn't it nice how they can just change things like that? Denise. Why are there two people? I believe it was all damage limitation. The LP were doing a press conference. Of course. Yeah. Of course. The thing is, and it always means a lot more when they say, hey, you know what? We screwed up. We made these mistakes, but that's not what those arrogant police officers did. They basically blamed Peter Falding. They blamed Curtis Media. They blamed news or whatever. They blamed everybody else but themselves. That's why I think I found it a little insulting with that message at the end, that parents are basically saying, like, look, we need our privacy. We're totally calling out ITV and Sky News. Just leave us alone. I found that quite insulting myself, those words. Leave us alone. But hey, we got a GoFundMe out there. Does anyone still want to donate some money to that to help out with the family? You know, or we need the public's help, but you guys can all shut up now. I just found that quite insulting myself. I was taken back by that whole last minute thing. So Sky News was your friends the whole time as you were looking for help. And maybe they just thought, okay, yeah, they asked for privacy, but because they had been talking to them the whole time, they were just thinking that maybe they could still talk to them, you know? I just thought that was quite blatantly rude. Yep. So when somebody asks for help next time, you know. Who are the two people reported being seen Nicola at the upper field? I don't know about two people. Bridget, I don't know about two people. Who are the two people reported seeing no? I don't know about two people. I only know that there was one person that said to have seen Nicola Bulley at the upper field. Seen. Doesn't mean that they were in the upper field. It means that they were seen. All of the officers in charge is from different section of the police. Well, they sure couldn't get their shit together straight, could they? No, didn't find fishermen. Claire, like I said, in the video, Rebecca Smith is talking about the fishermen, and that she said that they had spoken with them and they deemed them as like nothing suspect. Only because I know a lot of people asked about that one, and that's why she was trying to clear up certain things. Investigators made their minds. I wish that Rebecca Smith would have said more than what she did, though, when she was trying to clear up certain things, but she didn't. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. That's why they didn't cordon off the area. And that's why her family, you could see, was getting frustrated. And that's why even Emma White was like, well, I mean, that's a hypothesis. This is a real person here. Great. You keep saying that she fell into the water, but you got nothing to show us for it. That's why, hence, the parents were saying the same thing. Like, do you think that it's a possibility that there was a third-party involvement? And, whoever answered her back said, no, I don't think so. Great, I don't think so. Doesn't mean that didn't happen. It means that's what you think. But you had nothing to show. That is one thing that they should be apologizing for just because they found her in the water weeks later and they didn't even find her. They just came and scooped the body out. They didn't actually do the freaking work, the groundwork for that, because nothing that they did the groundwork for found Nicola Bulley. So they're the ones that should be apologizing for their incompetence and how they handled it from the get-go. It just amazes me that you can see in videos people freaking walking up and down. Like, that's what blows me away. So you would think that if a search was going on and they finally did cordon it off and stuff like that, but you would think like during those days prior to that too. I mean, there was just people coming in, strolling out. How about really? All because they based it on the fact that she had fallen in, but had nothing to prove from it. You could see that their asses were backtracking. You could see that their butts were backtracking. And then they got lucky. They got lucky because somebody spotted Nicola Bulley on the February 19th. Because they were totally backpedaling from that initial statement. Because why? Because they couldn't find her. Duh. They had nothing to show for it. Duh. And you could see that they were backpedaling. Oh, okay. Well, let's go check the caravan area. Okay. Let's, I mean, even Peter Falding said that the underbrush, that wasn't even like swacked down. That's something that should have been done prior to him arriving like 10 days later. Is something that should have happened. But he said that even that wasn't swacked down. So to them. Fishermen were not traced. Becky Smith just said she didn't think it was strange for fishermen to be in that area. I don't know. I think you guys are missing a part there. I specifically heard her talk about that. Maybe go check it out again, guys. And then tell me what you think in the comments after this video about that. Because in my head, I clearly remember her talking about the fishermen saying that they were tracked down, but they didn't deem it as. But anyways, in the comment section after this, whatever, just go listen to it again, or, and then leave a comment about it. Maybe did I hear something wrong? But I just thought I distinctly heard that. Because I keep listening to these videos like over and over again, but that's what I remember hearing. But again, right? Sometimes what you remember hearing and what truly was said are two different things. I still think they may not have been fishermen, but carrying a long camera, right? I don't know. I mean, obviously there was two kind of people with their hoods up over their head, possibly fishermen, whatever. Don't know. They were reported because somebody thought it was odd, and it very well could have been odd. But by the same token, maybe it just was two guys that was cold and they had their hoodies over top of their head and were legitimately going fishing. Last witness with white flip dog said he saw her with two people at 9:10. I don't know where you get that from at all, Bridget. Myself, it's nothing I've ever seen. Let alone the fluffy white dog guy. Like, he never spoke up. His wife is the one that spoke up, and she never said that. What she said was, besides what his wife Hillary Barlow said, was that my husband and there was like two other people, three total, including himself, in the field. That came out of Hillary's mouth, not his. He said, apparently to some other magazine, he said that he didn't even see her, So the last witness, like, that was never said that I've ever seen. Again, and this is what I think, is that we think we remember something a certain way, but yet it wasn't truly said that way, but we have it in our mind that it was. And then you're trying to figure out the timeline and what makes sense. But if something like that is stuck in your head, which I've never heard or seen, then, right, it kind of throws things off in the head about how you're thinking about things. And that's where things get twisted. And that's why, for me, you just try to kind of read everything out there in the media and what the press conference says, and just try to make sense of all the bogus crap going on. But anyway, I've never seen that, Bridget. Noah Donahue. Seems like two people are missing from the hypothesis of theirs. Garage, church, fisherman, upper field. Like I said, I don't know that. Well, yeah. Well, like I said, as far as I remember, Rebecca Smith saying that they had talked to, like, or basically had investigated that and were deemed as like non-suspicious or whatever. Like, you guys are forcing me to have to go listen back to something again too, because quite a few of you are going, yeah, they have never come across the fisherman, but that's not what I remember, and that's no different than what I'm just was showing about Bridget talking about two witnesses from 910 guy. Like, that was never said, but yet that's how Bridget remembers it. If Ali did everything right in the first place, right? Well, no, right, absolutely. That was the kind of the bullshit of it, though, right? They were trying. They literally had the nerve to sit there and keep inputting themselves into social media. That kind of made me laugh. Okay, how about you worry about what you're doing? People are going to say whatever they want to say, social media. And I'm sorry, Rebecca Smith or Sally Riley, you ain't going to stop it. You can pull your crap weight over there in the UK and arrest Curtis Media and show your freaking bullying and crap like that, because that's exactly what that was. If you guys cared so much about him being in that area, that say wasn't quartered off, but they basically made him a charge, right? You can't tell me that that's not bullying tactic because of the fact of being on freaking Penny's yard area there, which he was allowed to be on, like the guy said, then they went back to that 19th video to use that against him. Like, right? And that was to keep him away. Simple as that. But they're going to sit there and throw out whatever crap they want to make it be like, no. One didn't have nothing to do with the other. Of course, he wasn't only arrested 2 days later because of that incident on February 19th. Again, if they cared so much, he would have been arrested within a couple of days about that. They totally used that against him, even though it didn't matter that there was a news camera there as well. I mean, there's a new case. You guys, I literally have a picture on my computer here that still a tabloid has up, and I can't think of what the tabloid's name is, that has up, where you can literally legitly see Nicola Bulley's basically jacket floating in the water as that yellow piece of cord is attached to her body, right? So most people have cut that part off and they just show the yellow going towards that way. But there's still an article out there, and it was probably by the same ass people that Curtis is talking about that was there as well. And they legitly show where you can see that what yellow cord that's attached to this person that's floating with the freaking bubble jacket on. So that's pretty disgusting, really. But again, that tabloid's okay. But Curtis Media is accused because he's on the opposite side there and taking footage and blah, 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 that she shouldn't have, whatever. Like I said, it was just bullying. That's all it was. It was bullying. And what is this about? Right. And this is probably something I actually forgot. It could be said that she had an altercation over the dog and was pushed or fell in the water, just as plausible as her falling in for no apparent reason. Well, there's another thing right there. Okay, was the word altercation used or whatever? Because we heard that the person that she was talking to or whatever, which I think we all thought was Penny, and who knows, right? We all thought was Penny, was like, had a discussion, because the word was that they had like I don't even know if it was the word altercation or discussion or whatever the fuck. I think they used the word altercation, about the lead or the dog being off of the harness and whatever, and everyone's going, yeah, that's Caravan Penny, grumpy Caravan Penny. And yet again, it's like, did they misuse the word altercation and it was just a conversation about the dog off the leash? But why would you have that conversation unless you were kind of a little bit, you would think, miffed? Yeah, exchange. Thank you, Jess. An exchange. But usually if someone's going to have an exchange about that conversation, if someone's going to have an exchange about the conversation about the dog and leash or whatever, it's probably pretty much because you're supposed to leave your dog on the, leash and that. But most people, like over here in the dog park where I live, let their dogs off. And then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My dog's so friendly. My dog's so this. Oh, really? Because the rules say that you're supposed to have your dog on the leash. So if you're a stickler to rules, like some people are, versus the ones that don't really care because they want to let their dog off the leash and run around as well, then it just becomes like somebody saying to her, like, shouldn't your dog be on the leash? But who knows? Because we don't know who the freaking witnesses are or anything like that, because it's people that know Nicola Bulley. So, right? Ron's dog was off the lead. Right. Absolutely, Jess. Right. I mean, I maybe because I've never gone back to think about that being said. I mean, I thought about it at the time. And at the time, I just thought it was, grumpy old Caravan Penny that probably said, something to her because maybe she ran into her that day and Penny was like, your dog is supposed to be off the thing. And you know what? Who knows? It very well could be possibly true that it was Penny. I don't know. To be in all fairness, that's the joke of this whole case is what I'm trying to say is there's from start to finish, besides the fact of finding Nicola Bulley on the 19th, anything up until that point is just a bunch of misinformation or misconstrued words, or well, missaid words, more like it. And there's just no consistency. So something that you think is a very generic case, like, oh, a lady goes missing, a couple days they're going to find her, sadly, tragic event happened. But you didn't expect, at least I didn't expect, and this is why I wasn't paying attention to this case. I knew that Grizzly True Crime was. And I thought to myself, well, hold on a second. If this person just kind of fell into the water, wait, why haven't they found her yet? So that's when I was like, okay, let me pay more attention to this case here. No, so I was paying attention to it, but just, as I seen Grizzly kind of put up things, because I get the notifications that show up, and I'm like, this is odd, because, you think, okay, case, happened, sad thing happened, and, a couple days later, everything's, found her, blah, blah, blah. That's just not what happened. Instead, you got from start to finish everything that, how many times can I say that, right? A billion times, that nothing is consistent the whole way through. Got to ask, how did you find them in there that kinky? Oh, I'm what does that mean actually, Claire? Got to ask, how did you find them if they're that kinky? Got to ask, how did you find them if they're that kinky? Have a good night, DW Bull. Yeah. Claire, what does that sentence mean actually? I don't even know. How did you find them if they're that kinky? Huh. I don't even know what that means. Claire. Help. I think he should exchange their brains, never mind words. I just, you know what? And the Fitbit, right? The Fitbit was, the Fitbit was given to Paul, given from Paul at Christmas time to Nikki. So when you think about it, Nikki's Fitbit was said that it wasn't working. Synced from the Tuesday to the day she went missing. But maybe Nikki just really wasn't used to it, or didn't turn it on, or who knows? Because Paul had just given it to her for Christmas. And if basically just 2 days over a month is just, she's had that Fitbit, maybe it was just something that she still needed to get used to with turning it on or off, or who knows? Oh, you were talking to Sailor Man. Should have known. It was either that or Pincho, one of the two. Minute I seen kinky. So if someone was in the far field swimming off the beach and making another video, film Willow could have been barking, something happened, and Nicola. Okay, Sailor Man, if you're gonna type Nicola's name, man, at least try to spell it properly. Take the K out of it. There's no K in Nicola. It sounds like it. Nicola. But there's no K in it. Ended up in the water. The timing is right. My brain needs to absorb that. So if someone was in the far field swimming off the beach and making another video, film Willow could have been barking, something happened. Well, I don't know. I can't fully say I know what story you're laying down here, Sailor Man, to be honest with you. I know that you know exactly what you're thinking about or talking about. I've never personally gone down whatever line you're thinking of. So that's why I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to understand where those words and thoughts are coming from. Because yours is more of, no, not sorry, just in case you didn't know how to spell it, it's actually without a K. Yeah. Well, one second there. Sorry, guys. Just want, I'll never understand why the area wasn't sealed off 24 hours and all the CCTV had the same day or two. They were convinced that their theory, even though show right, exactly. That's just exactly it. They wanted you to believe in stuff. And again, I could say that a billion times too. here, let me just throw freaking magic dust in the air and here, believe that there was something there. But yeah, we got nothing to show you, except for our words, which is the magic dust, apparently. They had nothing. They had nothing. That's what blows me away. That's truly what blows me away, right? And this is why you could feel it when they were backtracking on their information, because they just thought, you know what, we're just going to find her. We're just going to find Nicola Bulley right away. We were right. Everything was right. We were right. We're going to find her. Oh, shit, is what they're probably saying. Oh, shit. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 8 days. No Nicola Bulley in the water. Can't find her. Surged up the river and down. 1 sec. I think my husband's home. Yeah, that's husband home. Okay. He was just out playing with the vehicle. No photos on her Facebook since Christmas. I mean, everyone's pretty much from like the whole Penny thing and from the whole, like, they've all pretty much shut down their Facebooks as best as they can. Some of them still have things up, I just kind of keep searching, but I haven't found anything. I haven't found anything to do with Ron or Patricia, like as in a visual besides, on the camera of the Sky News. It's almost like that they don't either have a Facebook or something going on, but they're old. A lot of old people don't have their Facebooks or don't really use them. They don't care, right? Just like Penny. Does she have a phone? Someone said she had a landline, but not a cell phone. Could be absolutely true. The older generation doesn't give a shit about stuff like that. Right. Exactly, Perry. They said people shouldn't speculate, although our own theory is complete speculation. And that's just it, right? We don't got nothing to show you, but we're going to speculate from everything we've come across and concluded that this is what happened. But don't you guys speculate out there about anything, right? Right. Hubby missing. Or, yeah, I mean, 1 sec. Hubby's coming to see me. Oh, definitely time to go in a few minutes, you guys, because husband, he brought me home A&W, a matzo burger. A matzo burger. You guys love A&W? You guys have A&W, right, over there in the UK? And, of course, an A&W. Right? You guys have A&W? I just don't know for sure. I can't remember. I'm thinking you guys do. All I know is I'm now one happy lady. Good husband. Good husband from the UK. I'm just still waiting for someone. You don't have A&W over there? Oh. Huh. Thought you guys did. Huh. I know that, like, when my husband speaks of KFC, like, just to say this, of course, but like your guys' fast food is dictated for what you guys eat. So, for instance, you don't typically find a hash brown on a burger over here, but yet my husband will sit there and go on about this thing from KFC and sit there. Thank you, Bridget. That he'll go on about this stuff from KFC. And I'm like, honey, we don't have that over here. Like, that must be a UK thing. It's kind of like my husband. Like, it was so funny the other day because we were having like eggs and toast and bacon and whatever. And I said, honey, we already got all this stuff. Do you really need to have beans to go with it? And he goes, well, you need something runny to go with it. And I'm like, since when? Right? Because good night, Sailor Man. Thank you for your words and stuff like that. At the end of the day, justice for Nicola Bulley, and just trying to, keep her thing out there and discuss it and try to make truth out of inconsistencies, which seems to be a hard job to do. Okay, so you went back and listened to it, Claire? Did you go back and listen to it? Like, did you actually go back to the actual press conference where Rebecca Smith was talking about them? I just want to confirm that. I'm still going to go look. You know that I'm going to. Because that's just going to be for my own sake. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, but bottom line is, so, yeah, he's like, well, yeah, I need something to be running with my wheat plan. I'm like, never heard of that. I mean, I love beans, don't get me wrong. But the way that you guys have it, and hash browns and stuff, and I love all that stuff. But again, in Canada, they're going to be specific to how we like things versus how, say, someone from the UK likes to eat things. Yeah. And I think I remember, wasn't it in the UK? Wasn't it when they got rid of, did you guys get rid of Coke? Did you guys get rid of Coke, you guys? Was it Coke? I remember my husband's uncle really liked Coke, I think it was. And all they had was like Diet Coke, or did they get rid of Diet Coke? Can't remember now exactly. I just remember going, what are you talking about? Why would they get rid of that? That's so stupid. Like, people can make choices. People want sugar, they'll have sugar. Who's the government to dictate if somebody should have a pop drink or not a pop drink? I remember thinking. It seemed ridiculous to me. People shouldn't speculate. But Claire, if you could just answer me on that. Did you go back to the actual press conference where she was talking about it? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, I listened to the full interview. Okay. I mean, I'm going to go back and check it myself because, just for the sake of it, obviously. But thank you for doing that. Not because it's not like I don't believe you. I just might have misconstrued what I heard as well. On there, Becky Smith. Great live. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. You guys, again, it's almost a 4-hour live, and that's a pretty good live. Again, please, if you don't mind, just give the video a like and a share. Leave your comments as you always do below in the comment section of this thing. Like I said, I dropped a video trying to make sense of what possibly how the timeline went, but knowing full well that there's no accuracy in anything out there to truly make an accurate representation of Nicola's, last moments and time frames of witnesses and all that stuff. Thank you, subscriber. Duchess. Oh, Duchess. Duchess. Genesis. Albaria. I think I'm saying that right. Anyways, yeah. Much love to all of you guys again. Thank you for all those people too that are here, and I can always tell because I do see a lot of similar names when I'm doing the lives. Thank you guys, like myself included. Thank you guys for your caring, compassion ways that obviously you care very much about certain cases, and this one is the Nicola Bulley case that I've followed, that you guys have followed. And always remember to be thankful and grateful to who you are as a person for having that type of love and care about somebody that you have no clue who she is, but you care enough just to want justice and answers for Nicola Bulley. I remember when somebody made a comment like, oh, I think I made a tribute video, and someone says like, oh, give me a break, you don't know her. That's just ignorance at its finest. I don't have to know someone to look at someone and that my heart is aching for what happened to her kids, for what happened to her family. And when a song goes to it, it's typically not for me that song is for. It's really for how the family or someone's feeling, kind of like the song that I like to attach, because it was about a mother that lost her child. and it was Heaven Needed You More. It's a beautiful song. So that's not me saying Heaven Needed You More. And it kind of is, but the words are more geared to how the family must be feeling, you know. Basically, the family has to pick themselves up and stuff like that, you know. So when someone leaves an ignorant comment like that, like, dude, I literally hope like a camel shits on your face and whatever, or that you trip and fall and smack your face on the ground when people leave comments like that, because honestly, that's just ignorance at its finest. And I am very grateful that myself, that people do care about other people, you know. That's one of the best things in life you can do, is to care about other people, even if that means putting other people in front of yourself, as long as you remember yourself. So without preaching, hi, Freckle Joy. Actually, Freckle Joy, let me just quickly say this to you, only because I seen a post, I think you said. So congratulations. I believe that you said that you got accepted to be a police officer, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations. I seen, I think, 2 posts on that. And it was just funny because I was thinking about you this morning as well. And now that I see you, I can say, you know, congratulations, because at first you had taken, I think, one part of this test or whatever you had to do. And then I just remember seeing a post, I think yesterday or the day before, saying, yes, you made it, you did it, that you're now going to be a police officer. So congratulations to you, Freckle Joy. This live's just about to end. And again, I want to thank All Sorts for sharing that story about Hannah, the niece. I want to thank Drama Lama Windy, who had bought 5 coffees for us, that Sarah had became a member. I thought you were a member and then you became. Is that what happened? Or was it your month? I'm not really sure. I'd have to look back at it. But anyways, thank you guys for all the support and love for the channel. And Claire, thank you very much for, again, your information with regards to, you know, stuff that you had sent me. And also thanks to TNT. Don't want to say her name, just in case, but thanks for the information to do with, you know, Ron Slater and Patricia Fletcher, and just that whole little family tree stuff that you had sent me. And then you guys, there was also this really great video that Unapologetically Me had put out there with regards to the home that Christine Bowman was walking in front of, which is owned by the Fletchers. You know, again, if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. I do have to put some links in this video after this live stream ends, that you guys can go check out. And other than that, if you do have something that you do wish to send, which is like more of concrete things that you know, like Pincho, if Pincho had anything to do with like that 933 phone call that it was said somewhere or whatever, or in a video, then please feel free to send me anything at acrimingshame@gmail.com. So with that being said, God bless you guys. I'm going to go eat my A&W. And thank you guys so much for joining me. 3:52. Just under the 4-hour mark, guys. Thank you guys for anyone that stayed up late as well. Take care. Have a good Sunday night. Or I guess in the UK, it's Monday morning. Here it's 6 o'clock. Oh, Ray Jones. Sorry, Ray Jones. I'm ending this live. You're just going to go have to watch anything that you wanted to watch after this. Other than that, tomorrow night's live is Monday. That's the members live. So if you're not a member, you can always become a member by joining. It's $1.99 to become a member of the It's a Crime and Shame team. You can use the emoticons. Anyways, just want to say thank you guys regardless. And I know this is like a long goodbye, but I'm just going to give a shout out to the USK, because USK, the UK, USK. I like how I joined that all together. But anyways, to the UK, because obviously I was trying to do it at a time that the UK people could watch, because it's the Nicola Bulley story. And of course, always the people from the US can come in there because they're not as far in time. I'm going to Greeno. Right, exactly. You know what? Why don't you just go watch Graz while you're at it? In fact, why don't you ask to be mod of Greeno and Graz? That would be a better day. Okay, guys. You guys take care. Thanks so much. Have a great one, and we'll see you soon. Sorry, Ray. I didn't mean to play that, guys. I meant to play the outro. This is Sunny Justice and Aspen Connor from It's a Crime and Shame, Wishing you all a good night.